I guess so.
She lost her pension, so we divorced.
Yes, sir.
So she got a pension, and then we were married, and the guy. That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen, that make you do that.
That's what I brought. All right, okay. He's my heavy. Colton's my heavy today, so I said, get him. Yeah. And then you don't want me to release hand on it. No. That'd be worse. Yeah. So I got that right. She's definitely the pit boss of the office.
And you know what? I like that.
It is an eclectic bunch of folks.
That's what makes living here great.
Yeah. The best thing about Brown County is you can key in your yard and save money on water.
We're not recording, I hope. Yes, we are.
All right.
You're live.
Patrick, you ought to copyright that. Somebody's gonna pick that and put it on their campaign poster.
What was the comment I missed? Patrick, I missed it. What was it?
Been in the paper once for something I said, I better stop.
They're not here today.
That's funny.
Oh, they'll get the recording.
Yeah, they get the recording. Yeah.
She has it done.
You roof for a living or is it your own?
No, John.
John.
That's
I
me.
work for John. That's a John.
Yeah, it is.
That's what you call work.
Yeah. Just kidding.
Jimmy.
Where is the?
Your right side?
There is one of his back-breaking.
He wants to
activities.
Today's supposed to be magical too.
Yeah. Tomorrow's business. That's working both.
There we go.
Yeah, my son.
240 volts.
That's okay. No, you're fine. I'll go back and get it.
Have you done
I'll
that
try
for
now.
years?
Yeah, try now. You want to sit here also, Megan? Let me do it. No.
All right, let's do it. I think we should do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I believe we were at probation last week. And Judy wants to say something.
So I received some texts apparently during the meeting, but I didn't see them until after the meeting. The other day, we need to be mindful of what is being said on video. We don't know when this video is running and when it is is not being ran. Some use of decorum, when you think people aren't listening and listening. And it reflects on our professionalism. And I'm not saying that I'm not guilty, but we need to be a little more professional. And it reflects on us as professionals, as county council. And that's just really all I have to say.
What do we do wrong?
Anything specific?
They did not tell me the specifics, but apparently there were some things said that, and I haven't listened to the video. I don't know what they were. I haven't had time to listen to the video, but I might go back and listen.
You mean in our Tuesday meeting?
Yeah. So,
Most places announce when they're gonna put you on the video,
right.
so maybe we should do that too.
We assume it's on, just assume.
Just assume it's on.
Yeah, but assume gets you in a lot of trouble.
It does.
But it's
Just
the
so easy
same
to say
assumption
videos.
you can make.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Mind your manners, everybody. I'm going to. Thank you very much. Did you say you are?
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and withhold because I'm scared to death of what somebody in the public might say. I'm gonna speak the truth, and if there's something needs to be said, I'm gonna say it.
I don't think it had anything to do with
Yeah,
the
well,
truth.
all I'm gonna say is if I need to say something, I need to speak the truth, and sometimes, as you all know, I get extremely passionate at times, and, you know, and I really am, and if you don't like it, then don't vote for me.
I don't think it had anything to do with our.
I get that easy.
I don't think that it had anything to do with our voting and our feelings on that. They did not give me, and I haven't listened. So I'm just, as a reminder, we just need to be reminded.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, 2 of the people who've been assigned to me got calls after the meeting expressing things that I was in the meeting and they weren't said. So it's interesting,
Life is always more exciting than what they see than what we live.
I guess.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go back and listen to it. I just haven't.
Okay, with passion and things like that and valor, it's sort of like discretion may be a good part of passion or valor. So we want to try and use discretion. So that's fair. So anyways, we finished, I believe, with probation. We have the sheriffs here. We can get out of order here in a little bit. And by the way, I talked to Ted last night. He wants to come in and try and explain his grant situation a little bit. So he'll be here later on. So we'll wait and do the prosecutor while, if he wants to be here at the time. But as long as the sheriff's here, we don't want to keep you guys off the street.
Thank you.
What don't we do there then?
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I've got, there's a sheriff's amended form, Julie, and the sheriff, I got sheriff's PDF. Do you know what the amended one is? It's pretty small.
Yeah, it's not very much. I can go down and get it.
I got it.
I also, while you're there, we were told, pretty specifically, even on the email, that we got the stuff not to ask for raises. And then now AIM said, why didn't you ask for raises?
Who said that?
Who said what?
Who's asking for raises? Why didn't you?
Why didn't we?
No. When you said somebody now said who, why didn't
Well,
you?
I've had a few, people, well,
Well, you don't have to say. No.
I've had a couple council members say, why didn't you ask for a raise? You guys,
We told you not to, but whatever. That's
yeah, I was told not to. Obviously, I feel like our people deserve a raise. We're working our tails off. Judy was at our Citizens Academy last night. We're trying to highlight our department to the community and show that what goes on last night was what goes on behind the scenes. That a lot of people don't see or ever realize how hard our inside staff, our dispatch and jailers work and the things that they put up. I think there was a lot of shock and awe last night with some of the stuff that was seen. We were told not to ask for raises, and then I was told that there was a department or 2 that did ask for raises. So
There were departments that did ask, but as we have said, we're going to have to look at it all. And we're still looking at the whole list situation and how all that fits in, so we've not made any determination of what's going to happen.
Okay, that's a good point. This morning I talked to my temporary housemate who's had experience in the Columbus and the Brown County Jail. And I said, hey, what's the difference? Because I heard I talked to Kevin also this morning, and he said it's good stuff there. But anyways, he said it's much better at the Brown County Jail. The food's better, they treat you better, the conditions are better, you have more freedom, and you feel more like, basically saying you're feeling more like a human. So, and they do call it, as you said, the Hilton. So that is good. It's very good. We could sell that.
And I want to add that the jailers, nothing against your road deputies at all, or your, any of those guys. I never realized, because I don't spend any time in the jail, obviously, and me too, I never realized the stuff that those jailers have to put up with on a daily basis. And the lack of sometimes backup, seeing a female jailer having to go in and deal with a 200-pound person on her own until there's backup there. They put up with a lot, and my heart goes out for them. And there's no way I could do any of your jobs. We never want to do any of your jobs. I'm not built that way. And also the dispatch. That's a whole different animal in itself. And listening to those calls last night were just horrific. Having been a former volunteer fire department back in the 80s, and listening to dispatchers through those radios, and sometimes reading multiple things, I did kind of have an idea about that, but obviously we didn't hear the bad things that we heard last night on top of all of those things. My heart goes out to them, and for them to go without pay raises for 4 or 5 years was shame on all of us. I mean, whether we were in council, or we were in council,
My goal and plan is to do this academy every year. It takes a lot, I love to be able to do it 2 or 3 times a year, get everybody in the community through it. But as you can see, there's a lot to that, and you haven't even seen all of it yet. That's night 1. And my goal is to have, each year, have a couple council people sit through that, so you know what you're paying for, you know what you're getting. And always, I've got one commissioner there. I'll do a commissioner every year through it, because I think it's imperative to know what, when we come and ask for something, that you know what we're actually asking for and why. And so that's why we're doing that academy. And that's why I wanted to highlight last night was the behind the scenes that hardly anybody sees. These guys, the officers that are out there, everybody sees them. They're the scene, they're the known, they're the ones making the paper on the arrest and all that stuff. But nobody sees what goes on behind those doors that gets them to where they're going, and then takes care of the aftermath of what we do on the scene. So, but it's a whole team. I mean, we have to have, I can't go light here and heavy here. I have to have a full strength team on all aspects.
There needs to be like a day in the life of jailers and dispatchers. I don't know how that would look like, but the day in the life of them somehow, that the community could read, see, council could read, see. I don't know how you, besides what you're doing.
I can't imagine that you were singled out. We're working out with tight on cash and if possible, try to hold your budgets. I can't imagine anybody calling you and saying, you guys can't ask for more money. It's just that everybody kind of tighten it up a little bit.
It was in the, it was on the form, the email said, don't ask for raises.
Right, that's our baseline. That's where we're starting, and we go from there.
To corroborate what he says, if anybody in here knows about jails and prisons, it's me. Even though I was an officer, I ran the medical department in Marion County Jail. We had 3,000 prisoners. I've worked for nursing services as well. All the Marion County staff at one time, medical staff, were all police officers. All the nurses, everybody was. But, so I've worked in prisons as well. I've had patients in the Marion County Jail. I've had cannibals for patients. I've had serial killers for patients. People like Steve and Judy, Stephen, I mean, it was a constant fight. People that horrific things with the public don't know, they paint their face with their own waste. They get that thrown at you. We've had an officer that had urine thrown in her face, like we were talking about, ended up having to have cornea replacements because of the psychotropic medications actually burned up the corneas in her eyes. So yes, and that is stuff that you don't see, and that's stuff people don't want to talk about. And I just recently looked this up, 7% of his population by statistics are mentally ill. And the highest cost incurred, probably even for them, is their psychotropic meds are even more expensive than medicines like HIV meds, things like that, by far. And I don't know really how their system works, but their officers also have to function, which I don't know, because I've been out of it a little while. The liability as far as the officers passing on medicines, I don't know who does that in your situation. So they take on the responsibility of, or do they pass medicines?
Just
So there's another responsibility. They're actually taking on medical care, and the state allows for that. I don't know if they have to go through special training now or how to do that.
Well, we have training to take, we put them through, but our medical staff comes in, our QCC comes in, and they'll kind of set the parameters, the dosages and everything, but our jail staff passes that out every day. You can imagine what the liability issue there is if they mess that up.
That's correct. And those are things that people just think they're jailers, and they're not. They do all kinds of.
It's a lot. They have a lot. They have a huge responsibility back there. I mean, that those inmates are probably one of the greatest liabilities this county has.
That's correct. And there's no such thing as a low-risk prisoner. I've been taken hostage by low-risk prisoners in the Marion County Jail. I didn't think I was going to survive it. So I get that. I understand that.
Okay, appreciate that. It's a good idea, I think, about educating the public with your program. It's an excellent idea, actually. Good. They need to know about that. Okay. Well, we'll press on. Get down into the Form 1. Got a lot of people here. That's how many total people are in jail? How many total employees do you have? Roughly.
50, just under 50.
47.
Yeah. Okay.
In the jail, dispatch, and sheriff.
Okay.
Actually, those three combined give the largest department. That's how it's done.
All right.
Those are Julie's.
They're mine, yes. Took the stipends out of it and put it in a stipend line.
So you took the stipends out of each person, and that was
Yes.
55,000 underneath,
Yes,
and that's just for accounting purposes primarily.
yes.
Okay. Numbers were the same, basically.
Yes.
Everything matched up.
Okay, as we go through this, any other questions as we move down?
Yeah, the only thing I would like to say to the individuals here from the law enforcement center. We've got in 2026 in the general fund only, which is where the challenge sits. As you know, 2 of your departments are paid out of the general fund. It's Reedy saying that we'll have approximately 10 million in revenue for 2026. And based on what's going to be advertised, we're setting $11 million in expenses. And it's projected that we'll have 3.7 million in cash reserves at the end of 2026. Now, that's about the 11 million. So the challenge is that while we, if you think of it in terms of how much you got in your savings and checking, I got enough money in my savings and checking gets me 2 to 3 months to be able to pay the bills. I know I need to put money in my retirement plan, but I'm not going to do it because it's going to take the savings and checking. It's kind of where we are. So, we've got, right now, as it stands based on what's advertised, we're spending $1 million more than what we got coming in. And here's the challenge with that is that's no increase in 8.2 million in labor costs. So it's, we gotta be careful because, keep in mind, we've only got 277,000 in rainy day fund. And if you look back, because you guys have been counting for a while, we started out with $1 million loan, right? And we paid that off, then we went to 3 million, and then last year we borrowed 4 million. So we're having to borrow money to take care of capital improvements, the $1 million that we just spent on the jail and the AC units, right? So we're having to borrow money, and keep in mind when we borrow money, there's, $80,000 to $100,000 just in cost just to borrow that 4 million. So to me personally, my objective is how do we increase our credit rating, take it from AA minus up to AAA, and how can we fill up and put money in that rainy day fund so we don't have to borrow the money? Because as it stands right now, we don't have the cash to go in and pay cash for capital improvements. So, now in the budget here, I think there's 250, 300 grand worth of cost for, the vehicles. And by the way, I went down to Borden last night and asked John Jones, I think I may drive down there again, was absolutely shocked with the amount of inventory and police cars that they have down there. So that to give you an idea, that's where we are as a county. So we're on a tightrope here. It's been a long prediction.
I respect that 100%. I think where Brett is coming from, what we brought the idea of raises. We were told no raise. We respected that. We submitted it without. And then we come to find there's departments asking for new employees, significant raises.
Yeah. Now,
It's
keep in
just
mind,
disingenuous.
well, and what happened, basically what happened, is, and it's just like with you guys, I don't fault any department head or anyone, for asking additional appropriations. Now, if you don't ask for it, you're never gonna get it, fair? So, they can ask for it, and, and what they, and you're right, there were departments in there that just absolutely ignored that request, because their request was to stay at 95% of the 2025 budget was the actual request. So some of these departments came in and they factored in, 3% cost of living adjustments. So now what we've done is we've gone in and trued up all those labor costs, and I know exactly who's above where the 2025 labor rate is, all right? And that includes stipends, longevity, everything. But we know who they are, right? And they're not gonna get it. So,
Unless we can afford it, right?
well, yeah, unless we can afford it, because, just so that you guys know, and you've heard, there's this Wagner, Irwin, and Shealy out of months. So the council contracted with them, fourth quarter of last year. Because as you all know, we've got, 35 pay grades, but that doesn't include, law enforcement's kind of got their own, and the highway department's got their own. So, and when you begin to go through and look at the 180 employees, and you look at all the different pay grades, there's really not that many, they're 8s, 9s, 11s, 14s, et cetera, right? And as you also know, that there's, there are, and I'm going to refer to it as the administrative staff, and I'll just, there's some resentment, as you all know, okay, in the county government with some of the employees. And so that's a challenge in that, why am I over here at pay grade 8 or pay grade 9, and then this person's over here at pay grade 14, 15, 16. So hopefully when WIS, when they come in, what WIS is doing is they're going to take us, say from 35, and let's say we'll have 6 classifications. But in each one of those classifications, there's going to be a range, all right? And I hope and pray that Wagner and Shealy, they come up with a very well documented approach so that the council can determine objectively and rationally a score. So here's the job position. How do you score it, right? And then you score it, this is where that person should be paid. Because historically, for me, when I realized that, this assigning pay grades has been historically extremely subjective. It's been more based off personality, emotions, feelings, and things like that. So that to me, as best practice, we've got to somehow set our emotions off to the side, and we can make our argument based on facts and being objective, and then make decisions, that is in alignment with the best interest of the county as a whole. So that's where we are, and I just wanted to disclose that so you kind of understand the challenge that, big picture and what we face.
I understand that, and I understand and have felt the resentment stuff a lot.
Right.
Got big.
Well, I'm sure you have.
Got a big rash of that last year when I was trying to get raises for my people.
Right.
It's exactly why I'm trying to highlight my department in this kind of thing, to show you there is a huge difference of what goes on in our building versus this building.
Right. Yeah. You're not gonna get it, I understand.
Difference.
Right, yeah.
And
But at the same time, though, keep in mind, when you go in and analyze, and I can sit down and show you, because I've got it all in an Excel file. When you look at the turnover ratio in the county, and you guys are dealing with it. I go through and look at, Brad, not to pick on you, but, you've got the most seniority in the county, void of the woman that is the head of the community corrections, is that it?
Probation.
Jennifer, probation. Yeah, it's you, you guys are the most senior people in the county, and then there's not, maybe 8 or 10 more, but most of the employees within the county are less than 5 years. So I don't know how we put our heads together and how we, take a very objective, fair-minded, rational approach to compensation, so that everybody, so that we can hopefully mitigate this turnover and stop this turnover, because that turnover is expensive, especially for your department. It's huge, the amount of training that's involved.
it's huge.
Yeah.
Your department has the most expense in replacing employees.
I was amazed too that he had, and I might be wrong, but I think there were 2 that were fresh out of high school. Bless their hearts, and I mean that in a sincere way, thinking, look, I'm gonna leave construction to go into this, and he seems to enjoy it. But I'm like you said, there was no life lived. I don't think this person had any idea the world he was getting into, unless maybe he had a family member who'd been in it prior. And I'm just like, what an eye opener.
I've got a dispatcher my male dispatcher graduated high school last year and started for me, in July? I think he graduated in May, started for me in July. That's a 911 dispatcher. It's hard to hire people. We've had 2 dispatch openings. We hired 2, one didn't show up.
Been there.
And it's like, she didn't show up for her first day, which was Monday, Tuesday. Didn't show up, no show, no call, so out. And when we hired her, I told Andrea, I said, she's not gonna work. She goes, well, I'd like to give her a try. I'm like, okay, we'll give her a try. But I know she's not gonna work out. Well, hell, she didn't even show up for the first day. So
I had 3 people apply
we had 3 people apply.
for
Yeah.
2 positions.
And out of the 3, 1 didn't show up.
And the other ones have done good.
And he's just not, like, the first thing I asked him, I said, can you multitask? He goes, well, I'm not very good at multitasking. I have to have a detailed list and do this and this and this. And I'm like, well, you can't do this job, and good kid, I'd like to have a place for him, but dispatch isn't it.
So are you saying the pool of people to draw from is pretty small?
It's
Smaller than the positions we have normally.
Yeah.
How do we increase that pool? I mean, are they coming from out of county or what?
Well, good luck. Yeah, it does, and it's not just here, but it is across the board in law enforcement. In law enforcement, but where you're seeing the people going to is the places like Bartholomew counties and Monroe counties that have that salary that's a pretty good feasible salary. They look at the salary and the job and they're like, I mean, we're not far off from Chick-fil-A, I'm paying and it's like, okay, you can stand in a line and make $16 at Chick-fil-A. I'm paying my jailers $21 to deal with mental health issues, get feces thrown at them and fight inmates.
So
You paid me $35 an hour to do that, I'm sorry.
And
I saw an ad for, I think it was in, I don't know if it was the end of last year or the beginning of this year, for IU campus police. Starting pay for a sergeant, I think, was $110,000.
Yeah,
That's what we're competing, that's what we're competing with.
that's
And
more
that's
than
just
what
to
I make.
drive over to Bloomington
That's more than what I make.
for campus police.
So
You know,
that's where we're at. That's why I keep, I mean, I guess I keep begging because it's like, until we truly fix the comparative of the differences, and I will tell you, statewide, if you compare statewide, we look pretty good. But I don't lose people to those counties that we're paying more than. I don't lose people to the northern counties and the far southern counties. I lose people to our surrounding counties and those departments within those surrounding counties. And those surrounding counties they're way up there. And that's just where it is. That's the nature of the beast where, I love this community, probably never leave it, but we're just in a bad location geographically with that.
Have you had any conversations, with the, Bartholomew, Marion, or Monroe, Johnson County sheriffs? I mean, what's their attitude about, pulling people from other?
Well,
they're happy.
Really? So
Yeah.
this is-
I can tell you,
It's pretty great.
Yeah, look at Andy Fisher, who's running for sheriff in Johnson County. He literally posted on our Facebook page, I'll be sending some applications down.
You're kidding.
When we had graduates.
yeah,
He's doing it in a joking manner.
it's a
but-
joke, but it's not. When we show up at graduation, I promise you, when I have a guy graduating, the guys are going, "Hey, man, send me his contact information. I'll be contacting him." I mean, Bartholomew County does that. Johnson County does that. Monroe County, they took 2 of ours last year, and Bartholomew County took 1. And like I said, that was 17 years experience that we lost in those 3 officers last year.
The one Bartholomew County took graduated from his class.
At the academy.
Oh, yeah.
And literally that day at the academy, we went to the national, or not the Indiana Sheriff's Association conference, they honor him, because they always do, the top graduating, if it's a sheriff, sometimes it's a PD officer, and we don't do that, but it was a sheriff, they honored him and everything, and literally had guys, "Hey man, give me his number." No.
Brad's been identifying this all over the past year. Susan, pun intended, gave us a get out of jail card. When you look at tourism, to promote tourism, you have to have a safe environment to promote tourism. It's a fact that our volume of visitors to this county have increased. That's why we got the light at the state park. They could never get that before because NDOT said you never had the traffic volume. Well, now we have the traffic volume. You have R-Truth Hills. And so when you look at public safety to promote tourism, if you can't guarantee a safe environment for the tourists you're attracting down here, you got a damn problem. And if we can use that revenue from the innkeeper's tax for that safe environment to attract people, then we tap into it. And if all we got to do is say, hey, tourism includes providing those investments for a safe environment, that's how we're going to use it. And have somebody else tell me we can't do that. We can certainly interpret it that. And look at how all the other counties interpreted that. They got quality of life. That's everything. When you talk development, that's everything. So the other counties have basically set precedent that you can define what those categories are, include promoting tourism in that safe environment, and then fund it with revenue from the innkeeper's tax. Just pull the damn trigger and do it. For instance, let's say we post a headline and say, sorry, the sheriff can no longer has the budget to support emergency services to the state park. What message does that send to the state? All of a sudden you're going to the state park and there's not going to be fire service, emergency service, ambulance service. Would that have an impact on tourism? I don't think so. Would that have an impact on people want to come down here to attend a music venue? Because they're not sure what the safety level is in this county? Yeah, I would think so. If there's no police, no fire for the state park, how the hell can they do it for Nashville? So why the hell don't we fund that? And now with that 3% increase, that's a new source of revenue. You just do it and have somebody tell you you can't.
That's right.
And Durant.
Here.
What are the odds, Susan?
So, I mean, you just think creatively, like, are there special details that sheriff's department employees are doing that we can take out of innkeepers? Like, is there traffic direction? Is there overtime that's going on because something is happening here in the county that we can now say that is directly related to tourism? Like, let's pay that additional detail out of innkeepers instead of out of your general fund.
And let me say this, and I'm just gonna throw this out. You know, when I, back in 17 and 18, when I was working with Helmsburg, the very first thing that I had that group do, because there was probably 35 people there, is we went through a values clarification of what is it you value about living in that community. And the number one value is public safety. So to me, when I look at development and promotion, which is the language inside the statute for innkeepers tax, and we're talking about tourism and promotion, I would assume, maybe I'm wrong, but the number one value would be public safety, wouldn't it? And if that's true, then how can you promote tourism if you don't have public safety? So we either value it or we don't. And if we value public safety, and we know we're in this almost a crisis mode within our law enforcement center, then, you know, I'm more than willing to vote to approve that we create whatever language that needs to be created, and we go in and we take a portion, however much we need, of that innkeeper's tax to subsidize the cost of law enforcement, because to me, tourism promotion, first and foremost, is public safety.
That's been my argument from the start, of trying to get.
We're the council, we can make that decision, and issue is whether we have the political will to do what's right and do what's in the best interest of the
That, we've had those meetings on this innkeeper's tax, and they always say quality of life. I don't understand how public safety doesn't fall into quality of life. If you don't have quality of life, if you don't have public safety.
That was the purpose of quality of life.
$50,000 for Christmas lights. It's, that points out the problem you have. When you're spending $50,000 on Christmas lights or holiday lights in lieu of law enforcement, there's something wrong.
It's misaligned values.
I mean, that just points out the whole problem right there.
We know that he's been tracking the number of calls to the DNR properties. We know that, so that's factual. It's not made up numbers. I mean, those can be verified. So I totally agree. Plus, as she said the other day, we have things that we can fund through Parks and Rec and shift monies as well. And we need to be looking at that very, very closely.
And the 9/11 contract we can fund with that. In Tippecanoe County, they identified funding for DNR from the innkeeper's tax. So the precedent's already there. We just got to.
Right.
And we were close on help. I mean, and that wasn't going to be the silver bullet that took care of everything on our gate tax. But we were close, and we were working on it. And I think we'll just, and again, that would help, but that wasn't going to be the silver bullet that fixed everything. I mean, you guys knew that. I mean, but every little bit helps, and it, that's why I started pushing that back when I went to Key West and saw that. I'm like, why can't we do this? And
I talked to Barnes and Thornburg on the legislative process. It's classic government. We could draft the changes we want in that innkeeper's tax, chapter 14. We can draft it. Dave Hall can finesse it. The legislative service agency writes the final draft of the bill and put it in legalese for the legislatures, and then we hire lobbyists to smooth that through the process and let them tell us that they're going to deny us the options that they've already approved for other counties. That's it. You just don't go in a hall and say, gee whiz, we want to, since we don't get the gate fee, we want to include public safety. Bullshit. You got to put it in writing, get it to your legislature, get your lobbyists, and push the damn thing through and make it happen. It's that simple. This
Jelly, you
drives you nuts.
You and I discussed this yesterday on my phone. Susan, can I get you to pause for a moment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I just, need some, and if you don't know, that's fine, because I don't expect you to know everything. The way I understand it is the distinction between a resolution and an ordinance is the resolution doesn't have any legal
of standing, whereas an ordinance does. And as you know, the council voted here just recently to request the CDC to create what I refer to as a governing document. Now, that governing document, while they have the statutory authority to create that governing document does not have to be created in a vacuum. So if that document were created where we go in and first things first, define development and promotion within the context of Brown County. If the CDC were to create that with the commissioners, the council collectively, and we create that document and create a really good document, and then the CDC approves that document, would the next step be for the council to basically take that document and then create an ordinance and pass an ordinance? And if we pass that ordinance, then we could fund, based on our definition of promotion and development, we could allocate this innkeeper's tax, a portion of it, to public safety without having to go through the state statute process.
I do think that, yes, if you wanted to pass an ordinance that helped to align your CBC money with what you want to spend it on, I think that would be helpful. And again, you do it until somebody tells you you can't.
Yeah.
You're right. People walking down the street want to feel like they're safe. This is a tourist destination. What I was looking at and does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing that I was looking at was, what's the cost of living here in Brown County, which is for a family, just under $5,000 a month, $4,920 a month, which is 11.6% higher than other counties in Indiana. So, if you think about your salaries for your law enforcement as some percentage of what it costs to live, right? We know that we can't live, a family cannot live with only one income based upon what we're paying to the people who are working. Everybody works hard, don't get me wrong. Law enforcement is its own special little animal. It's difficult. It's a hard career. So, but it costs $60,000 to live here for a family of 3, family of 4. You have more kids than that, it's going to cost you more than that. And so, here we're sitting here looking at salaries of $40,000 or $35,000 for a dispatcher. That's not exactly a lot.
Remember, everyone in the room, that $60,000 is net after tax.
So
That's not
right.
Right. So you gotta add probably another $15,000 on top of that
Taxes
to
on
net
top of that.
$5,000 a month.
Yeah.
So when we were at our AIC conference, I was given a card, I think you were too, of a lobbyist. I'm also having dinner with a friend of ours who was the Chamber of Indiana lobbyist spokesperson this weekend. I was going to ask him for some names of lobbyists. To get things done, we have to have a lobbyist, and they're not cheap.
Judy, no.
But I'm also.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Okay.
No, we don't. This is what I just said with Susan.
I know, I but if we have to.
But we go
That might be
ahead
down
and
the
we
road.
just do it, and we work with the CDC and the council and the commissioners, and we work with them, and the first step is we have to define what development and promotion, how do you define that in the context of Brown County? We're not Tippecanoe County, we are Brown County. So how do we choose to define that? Because once we define that, then that opens up the window for us to be able to have factors and make decisions of how we allocate this revenue. And we can do that. But the key to it is we've got to be the council. We have to be in alignment with the CDC and the people that are the CDC and the CDB, right? It's got to be a mutually exclusive agreement where everybody's on the same page. We agree to it. We put it in writing. We passed the ordinance. It's very well documented. It's very objective. It's very fair-minded. It's a rational approach. And then we go ahead and do it, and we fund it. Okay, period. because that's the council we have. We could go in right now and say, tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna allocate $1 million to the law enforcement center, period. And we can do that. Now, we'd get all sorts of reprisal. There would be, the thing would be an uproar. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm assuming that, that because the challenge with it is, let's having only been in this position 31 months, the last 31 months, my perception is you have all these there's little groups all over the place, and everybody wants more money. It's just the way it is. That's the way it operates, right? And if you don't ask, you won't ever get it. So everybody's going to ask for more and more and more and more, and the challenge with the council is the council's the only board that needs to keep a lid on this thing, right? So, that being said, I want us to me, it's let's define promotion, let's define development, let's create a governing document, let's take that document, turn it into an ordinance, and then let's allocate the money out of the innkeeper's tax to cover this cost, okay? And then once we do that, if somebody else comes up, and because here's the thing, Judy, who's gonna, let me slow down here, I'm getting passionate.
That's good.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah, I need to take a deep breath. Susan, let's say we do that. What are the consequences? So just to go over it, we define it, turns in, CBC's got a governing document, we create an ordinance, and then we allocate this money based off of that document. What are the consequences?
Can I throw out here?
If we don't go to the state statute.
Can I throw out something out here? I never got to finish. Thank you, Jim. Okay. Not necessarily about this, okay? But on the state part, we're going to have a lobbyist for that. I mean, she said she listened to all of this. She's helped other counties, this kind of thing. This has to do with the state part, not necessarily what we're talking about.
It has
I don't
nothing to
disagree
do
with you.
with what I'm talking about.
But I
Nothing to do with
what they brought up about the state part.
I understand that. I'm trying
And
to address this.
I know, and I'm not
tax rate.
disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. Okay.
We're going above it, and Susan,
Right
going
away,
back,
which is fine.
Susan, going back to my, what can come out of the woodwork? Would the county have any sort of legal liability if we just decided to do what I just proposed? And if you can't answer that question, you need to go research and be my guest, okay?
No, so if you use funds that, let's say, well, here's the example. You had a GEO bond previously that got used for operating funds.
I know, we got written up for it.
You got written up.
That's it? Written up. So State Board of Accounts.
Did it hurt our credit rating at all?
Yeah.
It does a bit, but the very worst thing that happens is they tell you have to pay that money back to the innkeeper's fund.
Worst Tuesday.
The state. Between the DLGF and the State Board of Accounts, they tell you have to pay that money back to the innkeeper's fund, so you're gonna have to find it from general fund someplace. But let's think about what happened when you actually used GEO bond for operating, which is not supposed to happen.
Right.
What happened?
We got written up.
Okay, this is a good point you brought up.
So am I, let me finish my conversation. So what I might take away from that right there is for me to go visit the Indiana State Board of Accounts and get real clear.
No, do it under the radar.
No, tell you no.
I do it under the radar.
Here's where you flash the lights, Tim.
Enforcement is the council and the commissioners is the enforcement.
Just listen. No.
Lights on?
Yeah.
Lights on. The enforcement, there's no enforcement on that. It's the commissioners and the council that enforces this for this.
Well, then that's what we should do.
Right.
Much easier to ask for forgiveness.
That's what we need to do.
Well,
Here's what I
let's
think
take,
he's asking. In the innkeeper's tax code itself, it says misappropriation of funds is a level 6 felony. Who is the enforcement arm of that?
We are.
I was gonna say. The prosecutor. Right. All respect to the sheriff, but the prosecutor is your top law enforcement official in the county. Right? All respect to the sheriff. But it's gonna have to come as a report from the sheriff or a report from somebody that we're misappropriating funds, and then the prosecutor gets to review the case and determine whether there's any action to be taken. Again.
By the way, if one ever gets arrested, we are the Hilton, just saying.
So.
And the food was not bad.
Rather not throw it out.
Okay, I just got a text from Andy Bond, and we were told this as well, but I thought this was only by the state police, and you may know more about it than we do, and we're certain, Susan will probably know. I'm sorry. I meant to bring this up the other day, and I forgot, so thank you, Andy, as a reminder, because I know you're listening. Law enforcement training cost reimbursement. Senate Bill 95, years of reimbursement based on length of time served. This is if they steal your employee. Not really steal.
Yeah,
Less than 1 year, 100%, 1 to 2 years, 66%, 2 to 3 years, 33%,
Did that
more than
pass?
3 years,
yeah, it
12%.
passed. Good luck.
Timing,
Yeah.
employers must notify prior agency in writing within 10 days after the hire date. Prior employer must file a claim within 30 days of receiving notice. New employer has 120 days to reimburse after receiving the claim. Notice required for all new hires in accordance with IC code 5-2-1.5-17.
I'll tell you, that's great. But
Is it
again,
state police or is it?
that's
everything?
everybody. That doesn't fix anything, because the 3 that I lost last year all had over 3 years on.
Right, well, this is after the fact, but this is new in,
So that wouldn't have solved anything.
okay?
And what that does, so now a lot of people are, when they're doing hiring from outside agencies, they're putting a 3-year, must have 3 years experience. State police is doing that now, and everybody's doing that, so they don't have to deal with this. And then here again, like we're talking, who enforces that? Who's going to enforce
I
that?
was gonna ask you.
If Bartholomew County takes their guy that we just hired, which by the way, that's the point I want to make. So I've got 6 officers living outside the county right now because they can't afford to live inside the county. So at any given point when one of those goes, you know what, I'm living here and they're hiring and they're paying this, why do I not take that position?
Sure.
But if we can be comparable, because I can tell you, the guys that left us, they've all come to me and said, yes, the money is great and I can't, raising a family, I have to have that money. The job with Brown County was better. So that's why I'm saying, if we can get close, the job here, working here is better. It's not, when you go to Monroe County, you're dealing with that homeless population and different things over there. It sucks. It is a better job here, but we can't beat that $20,000 that they need to raise their family. If we can close that gap, that it's not as appealing. And so, and I've got two living in Johnson, 3 living in Bartholomew, and 1 living in Monroe County.
Well, and the options are get something from innkeepers, but also DOC rentals, things of that nature. But a point here with Tim's statement about the state says we're going to increase public safety because we got to put a stoplight there. And Susan's comment about traffic control. Why not put a line in there, traffic control? What did they do? They put up a traffic control device. Why cannot we contribute traffic control to the safety of the tourists? Those maybe creative lines like that will be beneficial to us.
Again, I'm gonna try to reel this conversation right back into where we begin with, all right? Reel it back in. Gary, we need to define development and promotion, period.
Meaning those are the terms that the CVC is using.
No, the development and promotion are the 2 broad words that are in the state statute for the innkeeper's tax.
No, so it controls the CVC.
So the language in the statute is extremely broad. So by simply setting down, all of us, we're smart people, we can sit down and we can walk through and define what does promotion and development mean in context of Brown County. And when you begin to start that process, the first things first is let's start with what we value about Brown County. Because if no one in the county values the law enforcement and public safety, then let's just shut it down. It solves the problem.
I love you guys, don't, you know.
Okay, so, but what do we value, as a county? Number one, and if we can start with our values and then begin to go in and do the work to define development, define promotion within the context of Brown County and create enormous amount of clarity. Because it is that clarity then, once we have that, then we can very easily be able to go in and allocate a certain percentage of the revenue coming in from the innkeeper's tax to this, and this, based on our definition of development, based on our definition of promotion, and based on our values. And to me, once that document is created and we turn it into an ordinance, then anyone that wants to come back and be critical of our decisions, we have something we can stand behind and say, here it is.
Amen.
So when do we do this?
We gotta-
Instead of kicking this down the road, let's make a commitment to do it.
This is where I'm at right now. We as a council body have to make a decision that we're gonna do this.
Let's do that.
So let's
I'm
do
going
it.
forward.
I mean, is everybody here and the council, are we in favor of doing just, and I'll put it in writing so we're all clear, but step 1, step 2, step 3, and we just do it
Yes,
and get it done.
yes, if we can all get on the same page and do it.
And then we're done, and then we can go and we can do this.
So
The other thing is,
we can
make an ordinance any way we want, but does it skirt the level 6 felony that Darren brought?
Yeah, we do have to do it.
That's the basis of your ordinance. That's the documentation for your behavior.
That's what?
That's the documentation for your.
Yeah, I know, but does our behavior say hey, that's a level 6 ordinance or a level 6 felony?
Well, if you're doing it-
I'm just,
Yeah,
hey,
let me-
just
So then somebody comes
Fleshing
out
it out.
with our Constitution, we do like that.
All we need to do is make sure we have a legally sound argument
Right.
for the points we're making.
Right.
That, you know,
That's it. All right, Park County though got in trouble for trying to do this. We can't, we don't need to discuss this today. Are we making a decision that we're going to move forward with this?
And the date,
Yeah, and we get it done. And we
Instead
don't
of kicking it
sit
6
around
months
here
down the road.
and deflect and come up with all these, Okay, so we have to have a meeting and flesh it all out. But we have to make a decision that we're gonna do this.
A date and time.
I will sit down and I'll work on it.
Yeah, well, I'll work on it. It's fun. Tim can, we can.
You've already got it right.
So,
There you go. All right, and just so you know, level 6 felons stay in county. You know, go through that. Just throwing that out there.
That's refreshing.
I'm just throwing that out there just in case,
What's your Wi-Fi look like?
As long as you don't send us to Marion County, most of us are.
Yeah, it's a little shot.
You guys serve breakfast or biscuits and gravy in the morning? If you arrest 4 council members, we have a quorum in the jail, we got a problem.
Yeah, we can
I'm not
separate you.
joining y'all, I'm telling you right now.
Like I said, the food was pretty good last night.
I'm gonna take the lead on this, if you all don't object.
I got some stuff I've been.
We all do, and I want you all, just everybody in the room right now, and anybody listening on, YouTube, what do you all value? And let's start with our top 5 values. What do we value about living in Brown County? Let's start there first and get clear. And actually, Gary, you were going to do this, and because I've got a process that I use to do this. John Maxwell actually created it. But let's start with that, and then start thinking about what you value about a county in the context of county government. And we know we value roads, right? I value you, Julie, okay? Because all the departments are important because they're all interdependent on one another. And then start thinking about Google. Do the AI thing. Google, I started it. Google, promotion. What does that mean? Right? Because promotion, what does that mean? We know part of that promotion part within the context of the innkeeper's tax is the amount of capital that the CVB spends on all the advertising, right? Just say, hey, come to Brown County. Because I think they spend $300,000-$400,000, something like that a year. So think of promotion and just think of it in the context of what do you value about living in Brown County, right? And it has to be in the context of tourism because that's what this is about, right? But I think you can make a very objective, rational argument that no one wants to come to Brown County if they're going to get shot.
right? Or their car's gonna be broken into, or, you know, so, robbed, yeah.
Or
So-
you have a heart attack in the park because.
And you have a heart attack in the park and you can't get an ambulance, and so you die. Yeah, so that, to me, you know, when you get into what do we value, I think we all value, you know, our emergency service, public safety, the fire departments, right? First and foremost. Because I've been told that if Nashville catches fire, the whole thing's gonna burn down to the ground in about 30 minutes, because the building's
Pretty much.
sold.
That's true.
Pretty much.
That already happened in Maui.
Did it? Yeah. So I'm gonna take the lead. I'll start preparing notes, you know, and then Susan, obviously you need to be included in this conversation, and everybody in this room needs to be included, you know, and let's start moving in that direction. And
We also need to conclude CDC and CDB.
I said that right up front.
Okay, I didn't get you.
You know, I said that right up front.
That's fine.
It has to be,
We have to-
because here's the thing, remember, Gary, we define promotion and development, okay? Let's get clear about what we value, right? And then once we get this governing document drafted, then the first step in my mind would be the CDC needs to pass that document. And then once they pass it, then that turns into an ordinance. And then the county council passes an ordinance that's basically the same document. And we define how this innkeeper's tax revenue is going to be allocated. It's allocated based on a percentage, based on what we value, and based on how we define development and promotion. That way we've got a governing document that it takes the emotion out of it, it takes these well, I like you, so I'm gonna give you 50 grand. It takes that out of it. And that's what we need to do, because then if we get this document, you know, take the time and get it drafted, then it reduces any conflict in the future. There's no arguments. And everyone knows this is how we do it. Okay?
There's a song like that.
This is how we do it. So we're
All right,
good?
yeah, we're gonna set up a comprehensive meeting and explore it.
No, I'll start to draft the outline. If you and I want to get together, we'll draft out an outline and have it outlined with dates on it, step by step by step by step.
Well, you might start with Susan too, that she could expand that based on her insights.
Well, to me, I'll create a draft document, fire it to everybody. Y'all can go in and do the edit rewrite, right? And we can do it just to get, so we're all on the same page with the process that we're going to follow. Because what I'm speaking to right now is a step by step by step process. And here's the work that has to be done on each step. Because there's work that has to be done.
Question, will this be done, I mean, I don't know exactly what you're looking at, but so we're rolling into 2026 budget, is this what we're looking at doing, or is this like?
List is what we're looking to.
Well, yeah, we got lists that has to be done, right? And here's what we don't know. You know, keep in mind, we're $1 million upside down on the general fund, right? Okay, everybody in the room understands upside down. It's a car term, right? I owe more on it than what's worth. We got 10 million coming in, we got 11 million going out, we're burning down the savings account. And what we've got to look at is we have to look at this new compensation system, because, you know, number one, you know, I think that we've had conversations in this room, and I think the general consensus is that stipends and longevity go away. Okay? So that means, for example, you all are, you know, we've got $183,000 based off the 2025 budget, and stipends based on the Department of Corrections agreement that we made last year. Okay? So, you know, I'm going to operate off of the assumption that you give us, but you can't take it away. Because if you take it away, then that just compounds your problem. You know, how many people, half your people quit, you know that. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to look at rolling everything up at every department, every employee, and then what we've got to look at is say, okay, because my assumption is that what this Lori Sheelan, what they're doing is they're going to ship us a proposal, and you're going to have, let's say, class A, you know, class 1 through class 6, and then you got this pay range within those classes, right? So you move away from pay grades, and then you have a document that states, you know, seniority, education, you know, how experienced. There's a matrix where you score it, right? The position and then in person, so that you know, as you know, for example, I've used this in the past, you all at one time had your dispatch, you had a person in there that was there 16 years, making the same pay grade as a brand new person.
They all are right now.
See, I object to that. I have a problem.
The only difference is the $100.
I know, and I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that. If I'm gonna work as a dispatch and spend 16 years, I mean, you know, let's face it, who's training the newbie? It'd be the 16-year person that's helping train the newbie.
It's the same way in jail. I mean,
I know, but see, I have a problem.
I have jailers that are 7 years in, making $700 more than the person they're training.
Right, right. So that has to be corrected. That has to be addressed.
Well, that's part of the WIS.
That's part of the WIS. Right, but the challenge is with $8.2 million in labor cost, right? If we go in and adjust it, and then on top of that, you have deputies, and what do they get paid in Johnson County? What do they get paid in Bartholomew County? What do they get paid, right? And where are we in relationship to the surrounding counties? So if we step that up and we, you know, if we put this thing, put everybody, plug them in right where they need to be, so it's very objective, it's very fair-minded, how much is that going to raise our labor cost? Now, if we follow through and do this innkeeper's tax thing and get this document, get that set up, that could go a long way to solve the cash flow problem.
With the whole,
With the whole county, the whole county.
so we're not
Right.
just looking at your department. If we can free it up here, just as I said to Julie,
Right.
it looks at, you know, we're gonna free up money for other
And so,
departments, for those who are listening. We're not leaving you out, just so you know.
We have the same turnover problem in every department.
Yes,
right,
absolutely.
we get the turnover, it's terrible.
But the difference is the turnover, as was stated, the sheriff's department is a whole different animal. There is liability, legal ramifications
Right.
to
Physical liability.
to unexperienced, if our sheriff's department is constantly revolving and getting new deputies, new personnel, new jailers, then we have inexperienced people running a jail that has serious liability issues for us if a mistake is made. I mean, we could be sued for millions.
Now, let me say
And
this.
that's gonna shut us down.
Brett, and everybody, we, you know, right now, as it says, our target, you get two components. You have the budget, as you know, and you have the salary ordinance. Well, that salary ordinance fits within that budget, right? Okay, and what we're talking about over here with the WIS is the salary ordinance issue. Now, because of time constraints, here we are, middle of August, right? And the goal is we move from October, kind of November, passing the budget and the salary ordinance. What we may have to do because of time constraints is we may have to hold the salary ordinance at the 2025 levels for the time being to give us enough time to work through and really evaluate and, you know, do our due diligence on this labor issue, right? But also remember that as the council, and if I speak out of place, please correct me, but as the council, we can go in and say, all right, we're going to hold everything at the 2025 level. And then once we get the work done, we can go in January, February of 26, and we can pass a new ordinance, right? Revamping the entire, and we can do it for 26. So right now, just be patient, please, everybody listening to this, is that we've got a lot of work to do.
Except for
What I want to avoid is I do not want, because if we head down this path, I'm not going to vote for it. And I want us to take the time, create the space, really think this thing through, really vet it, make sure we don't miss anything, look at it from every angle that we possibly can. So when we finally create that finished product, it's a product that we can be proud of, and it resolves these issues going forward. So we don't have to continue to come back and come back and come back. I do not want to get into a hurry, start making rash decisions, you know, and then we do something, and then later down the road, it created a bigger mess than the one we had before.
And we're gonna have to, no doubt, employ probably WIS or something like that every so often to reevaluate and look at. We can't just do what we did with DMG in 1991 and do one and just take it over. Now, that's this council, you know, the next council who comes in, we may or may not be those.
WIS is considering. On the federal side, Jim, you saw the table.
Yeah.
They figured out the increase and all that kind of stuff over the years. So you don't start at one job and retire at the same level. 30 years later, your salary is about $2,000. So it's a little different on experience. The other one is, feds always have that locality pay increase. So when Susan mentioned that cost of living, woo, I'm hoping WIS considers the cost of living locality as part of that package. The matrix? Yeah, it'd be an important thing. In the Fed system, there's dozens of different localities and they vary significantly if you're in California, if you're in Kentucky, for instance. So, anyway, just something to think about.
Oh, I know, it's a good thing that local municipal government can't borrow money to cover operational costs. We'd have 35 trillion in debt, right?
Okay, so you're gonna set that up, we're gonna try and.
I'll start thinking about it
Minus-
now, and I'll jump on it next week, so, I'll get emails out, and we'll put everybody in here, and just email it out.
Okay.
Now, let's get it
All right.
done. We're gonna put together a timeline, and it's a lot of work, I don't know how many hours this is gonna take, but there's a lot, this is gonna take a lot of time and energy.
Whatever we can do to help, I mean,
Any input you can give it, I mean.
Well, we could have an initial meeting, maybe make a committee that.
It's just
Runs to the park.
Yeah, I would encourage, what do you value, just because you guys can do this one, I'm gonna do this, because that's value. What do you value, right? And I can email you a little thing to help you on the value clarification, because that's a process. About what do you value first, what do you value about a company, and I guess in the context of county government, like for example, the health department has some kind of mandate where they got to inspect hot tubs.
It's not new.
Hot tubs, okay? I don't value that personally, okay? I have enough common sense if I rent a tourism home and I go outside and I look at the hot tub to have enough common sense to know not to get in it, all right? So I don't value that, but it's just, I mean, really, yeah, the health department's gonna be ready to value a hot tub, I mean, come on, the bacterial level in that
It's
thing.
not new.
All right.
It is not new.
We'll skip the hot tubs for now.
So again, what do you value? And then do the AI thing and play with, how do you define promotion and development? Right? In the context of.
Just put that outline
What's it gonna look
together.
like?
Julie's
Because
gonna
if we
say
take our
something.
ideas and put them together,
Maybe
right,
never.
that will make it a lot easier to define that.
Can we stop now?
No talk.
It's on a roll.
I know.
All right, sorry.
But the only thing I want to say is, I want to acknowledge Tammy, who has worked her rear end off for the county.
100%.
100%. She needs to be acknowledged.
Thank you.
Since 1984.
Because you were in the prosecutor's office. I don't know where you were before that, but,
I started there right after my 21st birthday.
okay.
Hey, our question, Tammy, is why haven't they cleaned the whole thing up yet?
I tried, they still listen.
That's probably true.
Really.
Okay, let's move on. Can we get through the sheriff's budget here? We got inmate food. Did we get reimbursement on some of that, right?
Reimbursement on the deals.
DSE.
Yeah. I don't know if we got,
So
can't take
we
those.
did go over that last year, and so we did have to pull from that fund. And has that money even come in yet? They owe us like $250,000.
No, and I was gonna talk to you about that today, to see if you can find out what's going on.
We've been, there's been an email list going out to the county sheriffs, through the ISA. Some sheriffs are getting paid right now. They're saying that they are paying them out. So like, we all had to, it was a big questionnaire, like, how much do you owe? When was the last time you got paid? And there's a ton of us that have not been paid that are owed quite a bit. They've redone a lot of things, and they are, the way they're doing F6s now is day for day. You get paid where a lot of counties were getting paid way more than what they deserved. One county was getting paid 300 some thousand, didn't even have F6s. So they fixed a lot of their issues. We're just waiting on payment, and they're getting them out, and they're paying the counties off. We are confirmed like 250 some thousand that we're owed, and we're still, and that's not what we still have 2 or 3 to bill that are waiting to be finalized, accepted on that. So we're right now, we're probably close to 300,000. That's
With food, we've been able to stay within.
yeah. I think because our general population has gone down, we've been able to stay within the budget on that.
So how many DOCs are we averaging?
I've got like 15 right now.
And they're 42 instead of 37 a day?
And then the F6s now, we're billing day for day. We know that that's going to surpass what we've been getting as just the general payment.
They were giving us a one-time payment a year, like $9,500 or something, is what they were giving us to house DOC. Last month alone, the bill was like $3,600 for how many F6s we have. So within 3 months, we'll be bringing that in. All that money, the F6 money, has in the past just gone into county general.
So let me ask a question. Say there's a $20,000 delta between us and Monroe and Bartholomew, whoever. How would you see filling that up? What means? Innkeeper's tax, DOC, what do we have?
Combination thereof.
Okay, that's why I just want to see
I'm very,
where's that.
I made this commitment to you guys, as long as I'm sheriff, I will continue to use that facility to make as much money as we can.
Right.
I mean, it ebbs and flows as far as the numbers and the DOC, but I'm committed to do what we can to help fill what we can fill. Like,
We were talking $230,000 roughly last year, so we'll be able, what the DOC could bring in, that was your target, roughly.
that was the target, but, obviously the problem with that is like what Jim said, yeah, we've given it, but now if for whatever reason that dries up, say they build a new DOC facility and we don't get to do that anymore, then that's not there. So.
But in present, is that an entity that we can tap?
Yeah, we're still using it. I think the numbers are going to start coming back up because the new DOC commissioner was getting them out of the jails fast, because that was one of the complaints that sheriffs had. That wasn't my complaint. I was wanting to hold them as long as we could. But so they were taking them all in. Well, they're like last meeting we had, they're at like 94% capacity right now. So as that fills up, they're going to have to, that delay is going to be there, intake. So what that does is that backs up Bartholomew County, which we can house. And so, and it's started coming back up. We were down at one point like 6 or 7. Now, like I think today we're 15, 16, something like that. And so I see that number is going to start increasing, especially if they do take 1,000 beds out of the Indy for the ice holes. Well, where's that? Those 1,000 people, that's taking up 1,000 beds. So
just remember, you can only push these guys so far with how many people we put in the jail. Because if our average is so high, I think we've already been told we're 7 people short in the jail. We don't have the
Staff, Mike, you mean?
yeah,
Staff.
through the state jail inspection, we've been told that for years that we're.
If you push it too far, it becomes a bigger liability, and the guys just won't want to deal with it.
It's a good thing to know.
Brown's County used
You
to
have
have a
a
reputation
reasonable
about
range in
jail
there.
inspector.
And when we were housing 30, that was about the max I wanted to be at, and that was bringing in double what we needed for. I think when that about double what we needed.
That $250,000 is for like 7 or 8 months, maybe 9. That's not even 12 months.
Yeah.
At one point, the state jail inspector said that Brown County Jail was the most dangerous jail in the state because of not enough staff. So that's another thing that you probably didn't even think about, is the safety, because there's a liability there too. Because we don't have enough people for that many inmates. So that's something that would need to be addressed, maybe even on an emergency situation.
I don't know if that's still the case though, is it? I was thinking that was back in the old jail.
That might have been the old jail, but I don't think we're.
That was bad.
The old jail was terrible. That's 20 years ago. But I don't think we are now, but we are definitely understaffed. And like you saw last night, so from midnight on, I've got 2 jailers on the floor. One upstairs and one on the floor.
However many we got.
How many here we have?
Could be 15 or 75, it just depends on time of the year.
So just 2 jailers, so if there's a notification,
So,
It fluxes between like 30-ish to 60.
so if there's an altercation, I've got
Jailers.
one will run to the floor. It controls the way our jail's set up because they knew that the population, our employees were going to be limited. So they can kick control to dispatch. That's one of the beauty things that we do have. So at best, I've got 2 jailers going to approach that now. Dispatch is going to be calling road guys, which you don't know where they're going to be at. And if they're on a call, that's that. So then the next is us that's in bed are getting called, and we're getting dressed and coming. But I've got 2 guys or gals that are going down and taking care of
So
whatever.
Are you dormitory cells, or are you single cells, or a mix, or what are you?
So our blocks, the cells themselves have 2 in individual cells. So a lockdown is something, I mean, so it's not that just because you're in lockdown doesn't mean that something still can't happen. Because if you're bumped to a cell, an individual cell, you got the pods, and then there's individual cells, and the pod sizes vary. But there's up to 12 cells in the big pods, so you could have 24 people in those pods. And so if they're double bumped,
But you don't have, like in a big jail, you don't have dormitory cells that are housing 30, 40 people.
I saw something last night that just totally amazed me. There was a lockdown. The person must have had an issue. Someone had to go in. It was a female. Through something, I think, of this person's face. Your trustee person, am I using the right term?
yeah,
Went and assisted the only jailer in the situation. I mean, never put hands on anybody, but like opened and closed doors so that they could get this person back into their lockdown area. Because that was their only, in what I viewed, that was their only
Another inmate.
source. Yeah, it was another
that's
trustee, yeah, only source of help at that moment.
and that is, and then that goes for inside and it goes for outside. I can tell you 3 different altercation fights where I've been on the side of the road fighting somebody and having passerby stop and help me. You know, so because we don't have our backup, you know, I mean, it's,
Including people we've arrested.
yeah.
We'll stop it.
Yeah, one of the guys that was one of our frequent flyers stopped and helped me one time fight a guy that I was fighting, and when he comes out, I look up and I'm like, oh shit. And because I was like, and he goes, do you need help? I go, yeah, help me get his arm out from under him. Got it cuffed, and he goes, what do you need? I go, sit on his ass. And you know, so Ronnie Kim just sat down on him, and I'm like, okay, God, I got to get my, together, and it was, I mean, I've been fighting this guy for a minute, I mean, that was before tasers and all that stuff, so.
I would like to say that contrary to what you see on TV, we appreciate you guys. Thank you.
I hope that everybody in this class gets to see what we saw last night. We had big guys. I'm not thinking of Andy Reid and I don't know, those other people on that one person that you obviously said was on something, whether it was PCP or I don't know, who had strength of 10 men. These guys were wore out. Andy's a big guy. This other guy was a big guy. They were exhausted. And there was, 5 of you guys trying to take this person gently as possible in a padded cell.
And that's what we were trying to explain last night.
It was eye-opening to
They
you guys.
don't care if they hurt us.
No.
We have to try to control and maintain, and we can't, as I say, we can't just go in and beat the brakes off of them. That's not, then you guys got a lawsuit on your hands. I've got a lawsuit on my hands. We have to go in and contain and try to control without hurting. And so it's, they don't care if they hurt us. We are trying not to hurt them and just get them in control.
And that's why it's so important for us to have an experienced sheriff's department with experienced people who understand what they want to do. Because that's where, if you got too new of an overall, department of employees, that's where the mistakes happen.
And I want to throw this out here.
Which is why the turnover is so dangerous.
I want to throw this out here to all people listening. In these job classifications, none of this is taken lightly to the other departments because we all have risks, okay? And when I said earlier, theirs is physical risks. And
And
get about, pardon me?
And emotional.
And emotional. We all have risks in the departments in which we work. I work in the health department, there are risks. In the recorder's office, there are risks, don't get me wrong. Not physical risks to our body. Well, I mean, you can get the crazy person come in, don't get me wrong, that can happen. But we have risks and liabilities in our jobs, and codes and those kinds of things. Those are risks that we take, yes. But I do understand the physical and the emotional risks. There are different risks. And so when job classification is done, I want you to know that those things are looked at based on those types of risk, whether it is a code risk in a recorder or the auditor's office or whatever, but they also look at job risk, physical and emotional risks too. So when job classifications are done, there are all kinds of things, how those are weighed.
Quick question, educational question. Patrick, you brought this up. We asked, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, you have 2 people in the jail, you got 60 inmates, and one of them commits suicide. What's the liability for the county?
Probably huge. A lot of it's going to depend on if my staff did their job and their checks were done and their checks were logged, which we're very adamant on that being done. It varies. I mean, I've seen lawsuits go like Jackson County had the guy die in there. That was their fault, but that was over a $7 million lawsuit. So, I mean, the family's going to come after us whether we've done our due diligence or not.
Because the family members they can file a civil suit. I mean, anybody
Yeah.
can bring a civil suit, right? So the default is you.
Yeah. And don't, I mean, I got knock on wood, that's never happened here.
So, yeah, you should have said that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, and we've had attempts, that we've stopped. That happens, and that's why we have the padded cell, and we have the suits that we put people in to keep themselves from harming themselves. And a lot of times that's what the mental stress of those jail officers having to deal with that constant watch to keep that person from harming themselves is, I mean, it's stressful. And
You have the chairs,
we got a chair, we got the wrap, we got a turtle suit, and it's like Judy saw last night, and you're not just dealing, and for whatever reason, they're always naked, they always get naked, and so you're dealing, there's a whole different, it just is, and I don't, like Judy said, I'm not knocking any job anywhere in this county. I know they all are important jobs, and they all have to be done. We are way different. Our level is extremely different, and if anybody doesn't believe that, I'm hiring always. Put an app in if you don't think it's the same, or it's the same. Put an app in. It's the same.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Yeah. Well,
Let's
let's go through their budget.
Yeah.
See if you have any other questions. It's very productive. You got more than your normal 20 minutes we give them when we have our dog and pony show. Any questions?
Is that the jail you're looking at?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shows up down here. Fund 1222. You took out the stipends again.
Stand there so I can see what.
they're there, they're just not.
They got their own.
Where's their stipend line?
On the side, I mean, she
took them out, but then she's
The
got.
jail one had a stipend line, I just don't see it on this.
I think this is without stipend and this is with, correct?
Yeah. We're gonna follow the stipend in a
Yeah,
different
so
format,
comes in on the-
but it comes down indefinitely. It's still being valued in.
Or do you have it on the line down below that?
I think the only thing we asked for the diff in the dispatch 911 was the
Overtime.
overtime.
That's
We-
it, overtime.
We are smoking our overtime, and part of it is because we've given that raise a little bit. Of course, that adds the overtime rate higher, so, but we've been smoking our, because I can't keep, like, we've been burning through overtime because I can't keep dispatchers there.
You say you're buying cigarettes with the overtime pay?
So, that's the only thing in that budget that we raised. I think there's only three things that we raised was our QCC went up,
Did we raise it?
well, it went up 4% in our thing.
What is that?
That's our quality correctional care, that our contract with them,
Yeah.
quality correctional care is the contract that we have to come in and bring our nurses and our doctors in and do our medical. They raised it 4%, so we didn't have anything to do with that. And then, that and, what was the other thing? Oh, then the retirement thing went up a little bit. Was that the only three things we raised
Yeah. Well, and you know,
from last year?
the only thing that rings a bell is the dispatch overtime. Maybe the medical contract. And what else did you say?
Or the retirement?
Oh, yeah.
He goes. And part of that is, like, so everybody does know that is state statute on the minimum.
I just didn't have the number to put in there.
So I think that's the only things that we've.
The only question I've got for you is I remember seeing hit $200 in there for bullets.
Yeah, I saw that.
I know.
Bullets, I'm like,
That has
$200
been there
Bullets
since
you buy for
Beginning of time.
$200.
I think it's been in there.
That was buying us right now.
We buy our ammo out of a special line, yeah, firearms. Money we get,
So you get other money for ammunition?
used to for gun permits, and that's how we bought our ammo.
The
Now
state,
that's free.
the state gives us money though to make up, what do we get, like 10?
We might get $10,000.
I think it's 10, the state gives us that. Yeah. And I will tell you, like, Colton, we have to order constantly.
Last quarter was 6,000 or 8,000.
Yeah, it's about 7-some thousand a shipment of ammo, and that we would, that's not training like as much as we should.
Qualify twice a year.
Yeah, we qualify twice a year. Well, we have to have one standardized qualification a year, and then we do extra training, like we're gonna do it probably September, October, we're gonna do low light training, scenario shooting, and do some of that. Judy's gonna get to come out to the range and see some of that stuff in her class. That we do, And I encourage all of you for next year's class, I'll have 2, maybe 3 of you see how we can do that, because I want everybody on this council that sits on this council to come through our class.
And Scott was there yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Good. Any other questions?
Very interesting.
Yeah, I would like to see it.
Just,
When we do that,
just put a policeman on 46 going towards Blewett. Police come up, she'll pick him up.
Bring back-
We can give you the weekend experience.
They sell snack packs.
Yeah, I got down there.
I'll pay for
Uh,
that.
Very good. Over here, $2,000, over here, $3,000. Raise money for or put kids in jail.
It's not a bad idea.
We can raise more money than you think.
That's
That's actually not a bad idea.
I'm gonna quit trying to drink my coffee. I'll just put it out anyway.
Okay, are we done with this one? We're down to the bottom here.
It's reading for us there, so yeah.
Okay. Look at this, animal control.
You got a bargain there, I'll tell you.
So, you probably hear, if you listen to these tapes, I'm all the time going, how many
all awesome. You gotta ask good bargain with Billy. We couldn't have hired a better fit for our department to do the job. I mean,
She runs pretty much all day, every day.
Does she?
Even just checking on older animal complaints or new ones. Pretty much every call that comes in for an animal, she's the one that deals with it.
I've never personally had an experience with her. I will be honest that,
should be there on Thursday, the next Thursday night.
okay, I've never had an experience with her where I've had to call in. I've had past experience, I've called in, never got a call back, nothing. So I'm hoping it's better.
She's awesome.
Over the years that I've worked here, we've had animal control. I could not knock on anyone in the past. I can't think of a better person we've had for to fit everything that we need and what's going on right now. Trustworthy person to just do that job and do it with the passion she does.
You still have to
And then
ask the old trailer to put the critters in, or did she ever get a newer one?
We never owned a trailer.
Trailer has always been either a van or a truck, right?
We've got her in a truck with a camper shell. If she has to haul to the animal shelter and stuff like that. We still don't really have, knock on wood again, we haven't had to deal with it much lately, but we don't have a large animal facility or anything like that. We kind of usually just try to get someone in the community to volunteer their property if we have to seize a
Large
animal or something.
Right,
like
it's
that.
always been that way.
Yeah, so
Part of our concern on runs is our involvement with the Humane Society and how active we need to be there. So can you give us any information on that on maybe a monthly basis?
we could,
Yes, she does a report monthly.
yeah.
So can you present that to us just so we can get educated?
How many dogs she takes to the shelter.
Yeah, you don't have to come, if you can just send it to us in an email. Tammy.
Right.
Yeah.
I could do that.
And then,
A monthly email would be good.
if you can put on there if there's any that are going to criminal, because we've allocated that money to Ted's office for that one person, I forget how much it was, a couple thousand bucks.
Yeah, the 40 prosecutor does the animal.
Yeah, if we've had any go, there.
So
Also,
I didn't hear the first part of that, but if she writes a ticket, for something that's not really criminal code.
right,
Then, and the person blows it off, doesn't pay their fine, whatever, then who does it?
40 prosecutor.
Yeah, they're filing then appropriate paperwork then to actually go after them for that. Because in the past, if people just didn't pay their ticket, they said, screw that, you're not gonna tell me what to do with my dog. Nothing ever happened.
right, and we need
Why
that
not?
follow-up.
Why would you?
Right. So, yeah, if you could just say that X amount were forwarded to the prosecutor, that would, I mean, I would love to
the
see that.
prosecutor too.
Because-
There's times too where the other side of this too, while we have like some call-out pay, because like if, just for instance, an accident on the road and somebody has their dog with them and they get hurt, they have to get medically transported,
That dog's gonna go somewhere.
that dog's gotta be taken care of. We don't, so, because we're liable for that dog at that time. So she'll come out, we have warrants where we've got, some vicious dogs or something like that, same kind of thing. We're arresting everybody in the house if they're, if they don't have a family member come in. So she does come out on that. She'll help us, control the poles and things like that. We've had stuff where, she's worth her weight in gold.
Elderly person, they had a little dog and there's no one else there and she'll come in.
Well, I have an interest because I was a manager of the Humane Society when it first opened, back in the 86, 87, 88, 89, until I came to the health department, and then I did all the animal bites. So I have this interest and background, and that's why I'm always curious as to what's going on. Because with all the animal bites, it used to bother me. It always bothered me that I would see repeat dog bites, no rabies license, which is an Indiana code offense. Why is this person not being paid to get that rabies tag? Why? Why are they not being fined? That kind of thing. We've talked about the dog tax thing, that's a whole other thing. But in our pack, we've talked about that. But it's like, that had always bothered me. So I have this curiosity and that kind of thing. I'm not trying to cause trouble, I just want to know.
Yeah, one of the stats will send them to.
Hey, you don't even have to do it
Send them to
monthly
Julie.
if you, if you don't want
She
to.
does them anyway.
Okay,
so
that's fine,
what I'm
just
saying.
forward to
Send
them.
it to me and I'll forward
Forward
it.
to them, okay.
Yeah, that'd be great, thank you.
How active is our prosecution of the dog or the animal control issue?
I watched the tape with Judy asking that question. I can get you numbers. I saw 5 tickets on our desk today, so I don't know, because we're not allowed to do it. Mr. Seat and I are not allowed to do the
Right.
prosecutions.
Right.
And technically, Mr. Morrison's not unless she receives some type of compensation. I think that's why we decided on $2,000. I don't know the revenue that comes in through it, but I know it does give the animal control officer some teeth. So at least when she writes a ticket, we can actually pursue it instead of people just ignoring them, which is what used to happen.
Right, yeah.
So I don't know. The council could put value on that if you think it's valuable to have an ordinance with teeth. I think $2,000 is a pretty
I think it's valuable.
cheap way to pay for that. But I've not talked to Ms. Morrison about what our numbers are.
Okay.
But it was funny when I watched Judy ask that question, I looked on Nancy's desk and there were 5 new tickets there. So there, she's writing tickets.
Yeah.
And Cody Morrison's filing them. But if you want figures, I can have
Please,
them work on it.
I would love to see it. But like I said, you heard my background and that's why I have that interest, so.
And the $700 reduction from last year's budget, that's because of longevity?
I'm assuming so, yes.
Do what, a reduction?
Yeah, from the line that includes. the
Oh, okay,
longevity that
so
was
she
paid before.
replaced somebody that had been here for several
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's-
yeah,
They were 7 years old.
yeah.
All right, any other questions, animal control?
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
It's our smallest budget.
The school, what's the school resource?
And that gets reimbursed by the school, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's just his pay or whatever.
That's still fully reimbursed, correct?
Yes,
Even though you use them in the summer?
we send them a bill, they send us the money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our part of that is like what we consider the in-kind, like the car, the equipment, the training, the uniforms, all that stuff. That's
That's
our
our
part of the
every
grant.
commissioner's stock all that,
Yeah.
just a duplicate, so you can go through that one, it's empty, blank. Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Kemp said something about the $200,000. We took like 4 or 5 car lines and just put it
Yes.
into one. It's not like we took 155,000 and
Yeah, the
You know
commissioner's
what I
thing
mean?
was,
tried to.
it was all
save
jumbled up because
cars.
this lease item or line and this lease line and this lease line, and we're fortunate enough now that we're gonna go away from the leasing and be able to buy them,
Correct.
which the last set of leases cost the county $34,000 above the actual cost if we had bought them outright. So that's what we're trying to get away from, and save that kind of money. So that's where we're at with that. That's why this kind of went into different through the commission.
What was it that caused us to fall into a lease instead of purchase?
Um,
I know we were trying to purchase it.
We had the prior commissioner that thought that was the absolute way to go,
Yeah.
and that was
We're
the
not
thing.
gonna names.
Yeah,
You don't have to,
have to, we
It's
know.
just a change in policy.
a lot of us know already.
So that's the way it went, and
Along,
Buying vehicles on a rotation basis.
along this line, this is called, this fund is called Local Income Tax Public Safety.
It's through the commissioners, so that this is a duplicate.
Whatever, but the issue, along with what we were talking about foreign innkeepers tax, there's been some emphasis from Braun to say, no, don't do it here, tax them more. So that might be, what the pressure might be is they'll say, well, no, you can't take it out of innkeepers, you gotta go take it out of their local income tax. Since this is called public safety, so those are options we need to think about. But, hold on, 119. Okay, sheriff equipment, there's your 200,000.
Put that in mind.
Yeah. The car equipment is what, just upgrading it for police?
Yeah, and what that's going to do is that's going to allow us to purchase the cars, outfit them with, like, we're having to buy new radars and stuff, where we've been using them over and over and over, but once they go through about 2 to 3 vehicles, we're finding the wires and everything are breaking in them, and it's a lot older system, so we're having to go back and update a lot of things now that we've been kind of just skating on for a while. We're having to upgrade our stuff, and so.
Speaking of upgrades, we've got the prosecuting attorney here, and I, as you know, found out that you all don't have dash cams.
No.
And, you know, from my perspective, knowing very little about it, I would think dash cams are as equally as important as body cams, especially from the prosecuting attorneys.
They are helpful,
We have much in the use.
especially when driving behavior is at issue. So truck driving allegations, fleeing and resisting law enforcement allegations. But beyond that, body cam captures everything. So as soon as they get out of the car, I prefer body cam. But as far as fleeing or driving behavior, yeah, I miss them.
So, like-
Isn't activated until we
They can activate it at any point in the car, like our officers, like in pursuits and stuff now, have been activating their body cam, that dash cam. But the problem with that is you're seeing the.
Yeah, there's a steering wheel right there, so.
So they are activating them during that, so you're hearing everything that's going on, you're just not seeing it until they exit the vehicle.
Any idea, Ted, how many times you would have been benefited by the dash cam this year, roughly?
So any driving offense, I'd say driving offenses would make up 30% of our cases. I'm just throwing out.
Yeah, right, just ballpark.
Yeah, so cost benefit analysis, I don't know what they cost, or maybe we just put them in the road, guys.
And I'll tell you, there's not just that, but if our guys are running a signal tent and somebody pulls out in front of them and stuff, and then they try to sue us, and we have that body cam footage, and it shows that no, we are not in the wrong, they are in the wrong, that saves that liability issue. And then it's got a system that if there is an impact, it goes back 30 seconds and automatically records. So if it's our fault, then it's our fault. We have to own it, but we can at least see. And if it's not our fault, then that helps us with our insurance and with other suits and everything, because you know as well as I do, if we're in a wreck, whether we're not running lights or sirens, they see government entity, they see dollar signs. They're going to try to sue. So.
What are we talking, 150 grand probably to put dash cams in our patrol cars?
Probably in that range.
It's in that range.
It's not a lot.
You're talking probably $7,500 a car for the equipment, and if it's not a new car that they're already installing stuff, you're gonna have to pay them to come install it.
Right. Yeah, it's not a lot of money, but, you know.
I think that the added camera system, I'm wanting the state to get it on and get the contract for the storage and all that stuff. I think it was around 180. I think is where we were with that. I think Colton on, that was like, I think 12 cars maybe.
And it'd be through the same company.
Through utility-ish, which would link with our body cam system that we're just getting. So the two would coincide and work together on all that.
I'll go on public record, and I'm in favor of that, because it's just to me common sense. Yeah, it's just, you know.
Anything to help protect.
Well, just from a liability.
Improve liability.
Just
Yeah.
from a liability standpoint.
Does that go back to getting that money from the,
Yeah,
yeah, there we go.
yeah, pulling it out of
Yes.
the bond, yeah. Yep, technology. So.
All right. This is the sheriff fund.
You're
Overtime, holiday pay, merit board, educational incentive. Any questions?
There it is, the $200. I knew I saw the envelope for $200.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you spend that $200 every day?
You're gonna do that in about 5 seconds.
I know.
Their board gets paid, what, 30?
What's it say it is?
$1,500.
So divide that by,
Five. It's, I think it's a statutory thing we pay.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
That amount hasn't changed since I've been.
Yeah,
since I've been
it's a statutory thing that, because our merit board isn't under the statutes, and so, yeah.
Yeah, like $300 a year.
Question here real quick back on, do you have any idea, we got 17 deputies, right?
16.
Huh?
16.
Okay. Plus an open or?
No, 16 from the sheriff.
Full staff.
And that's including our school
And
resource.
everyone's got an automobile, right? That they can drive pretty much anywhere they want. Kind of, okay. How many miles do we put a year on these vehicles? 30?
I would say average of 25, 30,000.
Yeah, it depends on road patrol versus admin, you
And
know.
the reason I ask is when, because I own 4 vehicles, plus my motorcycle.
You're rich.
But that was $6.8 million. But flip that back up, Gary, or get back to the service. Oh, okay. It's $3,750. For service.
For one car, yes.
Yeah,
That's for probably, that'll do for one car.
I was gonna say, yeah. And so who are we, who's doing the service on all of our inventory, all our vehicles and all that stuff?
You have to,
Generally local shops.
so we go back and forth between Brown County Tire and Wright's, and it's kind of, we try to use both local businesses.
Okay.
Anything warranty work or anything like that, we take them to the dealerships and we do that stuff. Anything that's serious, we have to take to the dealerships and do anything like that. That's why we talked about that, you know, if the county highway could ever get that done, that would be, you know, most counties do that. For that service at the county highway.
Throw it back to Tim, because that's your guys' domain.
It's on the list.
I figured it was.
No.
Is our case,
Can we, how do we do this?
Because I know, Brown, I know that because I've used it before, that a lot of times if you guys are having electrical issues with the car, Brown County Tire sends them.
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. Well, for like our upfitted, but then so, typically if we're having electrical issues, just from our upfitted equipment and everything like that, so.
So if you're putting 30,000 miles on average, let's just say 25,000, in 4 years, you're busting 100,000. Where do you guys cap it out at, the mileage on the police cars?
We're just in a rotation of when we buy them, so they get cycled down as soon as.
About every 6 years, so that, like the officer will get a new one. Yeah, an officer will get a new one like every 4 years, basically, is kind of what our cycle is. And then that one will go to either a pool or reserve car. And then we'll cycle that one, it'll stay in that cycle for about 2 years. Depends on a lot of, and I don't know how to say this, depends on a lot of the officers. We have young officers that are a little harder on them. I mean, they're just, you know, they're gun going, they're going to charge it harder. You know, yeah, but so it depends on how that vehicle is and how long we leave it in service. And then what we've got coming in, and like we've had times where, you know, if we've had 1 or 2 vehicles totaled, then you've got to have, I mean.
If you're talking about maintenance money, is that what started this?
Yeah, because
We usually run out, but usually if we sell like old cars, the council has graciously allowed us to put, you know, $2,500, whatever we made from this old car, into that line to help us without having to ask for
That's how
more
it's
money.
gonna do. When I came to you guys and asked that at the very beginning, it's like, because we either have to raise this or we do that, and that keeps us rolling.
And then in the year, if there's money then left, then of course it goes back.
Any value in the future of us using highway maintenance in some capacity?
That would be great.
Even just for oil changes.
Yeah,
Oh my God,
just oil changes and simple maintenance would be, I think that would be huge. Because you could buy, the county could then buy oil in bulk and filters in bulk and everything like that.
So you'd like to,
Yeah, they have capacity, it's just working it in.
We're doing them every 5,000. Cars with aesthetics and everything like that, every 5,000 miles. And we do keep on the guys, if we watch the vehicles, if they go over very far, then there's a
We
write-up.
got suspended 3 days if we went 1,000 over.
Yeah.
It's automatic suspension.
For not changing the oil?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's a huge,
That's
a
a
cost.
Oh, I know it is.
And, you know, I mean, we try to let the guys be responsible for it, but if they're not gonna be responsible for it, then there's gonna be, you know.
That's good to know.
Here's everybody cars and just let the engines burn.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Software attorney,
Lawyers.
retirement, man.
Another maintenance issue. If you have a flat tire, I know like a lot of the agencies are not allowed to have it patched or plugged. They had to have a new tire because of safety. Your
Tire
tire
is what went up, Gary.
We still plug.
Tire.
Yeah,
We don't higher than that.
I know.
because there's liability there.
So it depends on the nature of the order.
Not really. No, law enforcement because of the high speeds.
Well, I get that. That was what was amended.
So you're saying it's higher than what's been presented?
Yes.
330.
Higher than that. She should have been amended.
About 438, I think.
You played that, right? He's telling you, that absolutely. We chasing people.
There you go.
It'll go 150
Right there.
miles an hour.
That's the amended
Yes.
one.
It will.
So that's what
I'm
we
testing.
recommended for them to do, and that's what we
I'm
did.
serious.
I mean, my bed shuts down at 1:30.
Well, that, you should buy a good car.
Oh, Lord.
Here we go. Okay, we're being in retirement and all that stuff.
What's the 437,929? We just saw it there, 300 some thousand.
That was
The
wrong.
amendment that they recommended.
Yeah, I know all about it. Because I saw another line up there and I thought it was double lines.
Keep going, keep going.
Keep going, so. Lisa Communication Equipment. And we all know about the 9/11 contract next year. It's a separate issue.
It's not enough. It's, I mean,
That's says it's got,
That's
you got
too bad.
replaced every 5 years.
yeah, that's two new vests.
That math doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Yes,
So you'd prefer body armor over dash cams? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I prefer life over.
Yeah. I think that's a better way to put it.
Larry Ocean says you gotta change body armor every 5 years.
Yeah.
After that, they have to have brand new body armor. Really?
We just did, and we, because of our new cameras, because our new camera is like a cell phone, so it goes in their vest. So we just got new outer carriers, some of our guys had to get upgraded, so that 2,500 to them, that's like nothing. We got some money in our equipment line, and then the rest of it, we're paying out of commissary to get all this done, because the guys have to be outfitted with these new vests to accommodate the cameras. And I told the guy that's upfitting us, hey, and I brought the guys in, if your vest is going to expire within the next year, we want to replace it now, and then see what we'll do is those expired vests we can use for reserves and things like that, because it's kind of like an epic pin. If it's expired, but you're going having shot, you'd rather get hit with an epic pin. Well, I'd rather have an expired vest on than no vest.
Yeah.
So.
The expiration date is just because of wear and.
It is, and it's more of a manufacturer's thing, but if we didn't do it and that officer got shot and it didn't do its job, then the county, again, to that family is liable that we didn't replace that vest. And they say it's because of wear and tear, sweat, things like that, you can break those fibers down. Yeah, just the amount of the movements from the cells, it can break the fibers down. That's why they recommend it every 5 years. The manufacturers won't stand behind them after 5 years. So.
Okay. Anything else? I think we've covered it. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Very helpful, very educational.
Well, I do appreciate the understanding and the efforts to try to help us out. Here.
Mr. Adams, please see me before you leave this building.
You do that.
So Ted, do you want to talk to us? Do you want us to go through your budget with you? We haven't gotten to it yet.
I can do both if you'd
Mike.
Alright. I got prosecutor's office and prosecutor's pretrial. Want to say anything about this letter or just go on from there?
Thank you.
All right.
Anything about this? We need to.
That's my job performance
Yeah, okay.
required. Everyone's doing fine.
Okay.
How's morale?
Morale's good.
Good.
Very good. I don't think there's anything crazy. I cut, as I do every year, I try to cut where I can. I mean, we cut adult protective services. I just cut that out of my budget. It was helpful that, yeah. There's not any surprises, just, I think that fund is to pay for 2 staff members.
Yes.
Okay.
Where did adult protective services go?
Adult Protective Services has now been roped under DCS.
Okay.
Well, I think they got rid of Adult Protective Services. Folks that worked there went to DCS. I think it may be contracted out now to a private company. I have no idea who to call. I'm going to call DCS if I have an elderly person that I believe to be in trouble. So that's, but they took that away, and we got to cut that out of our budget. I haven't been cutting it anyway because I found this out about 2 years ago. I was never informed of it. There's a memorandum of understanding with Bartholomew County that we would pay some money towards their APS agent, and we could use them. But we weren't utilizing that often, so I just kept cutting it, and finally I cut it all out.
Okay, okay, thank you for.
Is it
Is
adult
that the
protective
EDC? No, that's.
services, that's elder care and use?
Yeah, essentially. For folks that not only abuse, but folks that are like shut-ins that might need help or need assistance getting to assisted living or hospital, you know. That's the child support division. I listed the stipend on that one, that animal control stipend. And I put county general because I think that's where it comes from. Back when we created that stipend, the thought process was hopefully the user fees would generate enough and, go into county general and then pay that stipend.
Well, and that's what I would like to see the numbers and if it's being used. And my hope is that it is being used because I'm one of those people, the more that you can
First
get after
Thursday.
those things, eventually things will kind of quit. People will kind of abide maybe. That's my thought, maybe that's a wrong thought, but.
No, I think it's right. I think that's correct. That was the whole theory is she kept writing tickets that had no enforcement. There's no enforcement.
Exactly.
So you counted on people to, I guess, do the right thing and pay their ticket. And when you find out there's no enforcement, there's no incentive to do so. And that's why we created it.
Right, and I also thought at one time, Ted, we had talked about, and maybe this has changed through code, and I'm not up to date on this, that we were going to look at criminal cases for health department and planning and zoning possibly. How did?
Yeah.
Because it had to be criminal and not civil. I get that because it's the same kind of ordeal.
It's malpractice insurance. That's why I can't enforce it.
Right. Yeah, I
Any
get that.
type of ordinance.
Right.
I'm not covered. They've interpreted my purview statutorily as enforcing state law.
Right.
These are county ordinances, and because they are, I'm not covered by my malpractice insurance. It's like driving a car without insurance.
Right.
People could sue me personally.
Right, and that's why we created that.
And that's why we created that, and we got the okay from insurance. In order to enforce county health ordinances that are not criminal under the criminal statute under state law, we have to do essentially the same thing.
So do we need to look at that and put more money in that, so those things can be done?
I would recommend if we want to do that we A, speak with Ms. Morrison, B, speak with our insurance carriers to ensure that if we did something similar, I do another line that says health violation enforcement or something like that, just so we know that's why she's getting paid an additional whatever.
Right, and the way to track it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get
So
that.
that's what I'd recommend, and when we were talking about that, it was a different set of folks in leadership, and then it kind of died on the vine, so.
Well, I'm not gonna let it die on the vine. I'm gonna, I think, talk with the health department, and I don't know Ms. Morrison, but I am gonna kind of keep after that if you don't mind, and if the council doesn't mind.
Didn't the state somewhat restrict us on, septic?
No, I'm not talking about, I think septic has its own kind of thing, but I'm talking about other violations.
The county ordinances, I know that local folks would like to, local folks that write the ordinance violation would like enforced would be, there's some burn folks that are burning things, and sometimes the fire department enforces those, and sometimes the health department, and then notices to cleanse property, or is an ordinance violation.
Right.
Failure to vacate the property can be a misdemeanor, and we've talked a lot about that. I can enforce that. Mr. Stocks, the sheriff, has cautioned, they don't necessarily like to enforce that. And if I don't have an agency that's going to enforce it, I can't just willy-nilly file charges without an investigation. So when something comes across my desk, I refer it to an agency to investigate it. And if they're not willing to investigate it, it's going to be hard for me to enforce it. But we're getting into the rabbit hole. As far as ordinance enforcement, we have to have those conversations. I'd first off, if you wanted to pursue it, I'd talk to Ms. Morrison and see if she wants to. I'd talk to the insurance providers and make sure she's covered under malpractice insurance, and I'd get all that smoothed out. And then if y'all wanted to consider that, commissioners and council, we'd have to kind of come up with how would we envision the enforcement, what would the compensation be?
Right.
The reason she's got to have some type of pittance compensation is because she has to, under federal law, in child support enforcement land, dedicate 37.5 hours to that. So any additional time is her time, but she's got to work that in excess of her 37.5,
Right.
which is the theory behind the animal control stipend,
Okay.
and which triggers her malpractice insurance coverage.
Okay.
Is that complicated enough? I mean, it's a headache.
Yeah.
Sounds like something written by lawyers.
Yeah, get them involved and complicate everything, my God.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad you just
98% of them give the other 2% a bad name. That's what I would say about it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anything else on there? Anybody?
And if you recall, the child support, almost the entire budget is reimbursed by Title IX, the federal government. I think, and maybe Julia knows, about 66% of that budget is reimbursed. They are reimbursing us for enforcing the child support. As long as it's linked to child support, we get a big chunk of that reimbursement. So that's, a lot of that's funded already.
Here.
Yeah.
So yeah, talk to us about that, because I did get a text from Jill last night. Of course, I was at that Citizens Academy. I never got it till late, and I responded this morning, so you said you were coming in.
Yeah, I just wanted to take you, and I want to take the opportunity on the 8312 and 9400 to walk through my history of these grants and how they got so screwed up, because it bothers me. These are the bane of my existence, and I hate them. And I don't use that word commonly. I hate these grants. And I hate what's happening. They're both 80 in the red. To this day, as I stand here, I still can't understand or tell you why that has happened. Because every year we submit our budget. And every year we apply to their grant. Every year we get a grant award. We disperse that. We manage the grant. Jill, and prior to her, Bill as well, used to have to give reports, keep the grant active, and reach their goals and tell the bureaucracies that they're reaching their goals and all that stuff.
Are we not getting the money back?
Well, I talked to Jill this morning. Part of the problem, I think, that we're in the hole is the grant will never balance, and they will never balance because
I know.
they're on a different
They're on a
fiscal year.
fiscal year, we're on a calendar year.
Yep, it's a different
Yep,
fiscal year. For instance, she just got a quarter payment for October of last year to be applied. And we've already moved on from that
I
year.
know, I used to have to keep separate spreadsheets
It's
to balance it within my own department, to make sense out of it, and it's a lot of work,
it's a massive
undertaking.
It is, but I wanted to walk through, and I'll start with 8312. When I assumed office July 1st of 2015, I think Ms. Mulry had also just assumed office, and she audited that. She called me and said, there's a problem with that grant. I said, what's going on? We sat down, we talked about it, and at that time, that grant was fully managed by the victim advocate. Mr. Oliver worked with her in the grant, but she kind of managed that grant, and she got paid. She wasn't on the county pay schedule, and it got way out of whack. And I don't want to talk about, if we're on the record, I don't want to talk about HR issues, but it led to me calling Mr. Oliver, and we were not, that was very awkward at that time. And we had to have a meeting about how this grant got out of whack and what to do. I had an employee resign over that because of what happened. And we, meaning the auditor at the time, which was Ms. Mulry, the council, and myself, I invited more county oversight into that grant because of how messed up it was. And that's where we decided we were going to give the victim advocate, who's a statutorily required position. I mean, you could, there's some gray area there, but we need a victim advocate. And I want to keep a victim advocate because that's important in criminal law. But we decided we're going to put her on the county pay schedule. And there's a little, and Julia probably doesn't know this because it predates her. There's an agreement that we were going to get $5,000 out of our user fees, traffic deferral and infraction and diversion fees. Every year we just move $5,000 to help compensate the county for having that victim advocate. It wasn't a, we're going to cover the balance of what the grant doesn't pay. It was $5,000. And I don't know if that knowledge got lost in the shuffle and that's how we wound up in the hole, but that is what happened. And that was through my invitation. I wanted county oversight. Like, if that happened with Mr. Oliver and it got that messed up, I want more oversight into it. And that's why we came up with the pay grade. That's why we came up with the $5,000. The 9,400, I mean, they're both the same headache. They both run at like an 80-20. They're supposed to cover 80. We're supposed to cover 20. When we apply for those grants, they have to mess with the numbers, with the federal bureaucracies in order to achieve the 80-20. Which may not accurately reflect what in actuality the cost of the employee is, but it makes the numbers work so the bureaucracy can check the box. It's all done at their behest, but we would stress what we apply to the grant and what is actually it costs are two different figures. It runs behind, and so it never balances, and we never know what award we're. So when if it costs, and they're given in, they're not always given in 1 year increments. Right now we're working on a 2-year grant. So when we applied last year, we have no idea what Jill's cost is going to be to keep her hired in 2015 when we applied for the grant in 2014. These problems, what I think happened is these problems compounded year after year. And I wasn't made aware of it until I found the email 9 years into my tenure. It was December of 23 when Ms. Copian reached out and said, it was Bill's grant, 9,400 in Hamilton, we've got a problem. I said, well, what? And she kind of, it was around that next year, she kind of went off to a different position. A new guy came in, and it was in the summer, late summer of last year when we dove into it. And as I stand here today, I cannot tell you what happened. I still don't know what happened, but I know it compounded over years at the tune of what, 5 or 6 grand a year that it was underfunded. There are different theories as to what happened. I still believe institutional knowledge was lost through attrition, and people would get into the position and not know how to watch that grant. And I think without us knowing there was an issue, I can't act on it if I don't know there's an issue. All those things I think compounded. I still think the money was there. We just have to, that's what Ms. Cobian thinks. You just have to assign the right revenue stream to where it came from. If that makes sense. We paid, everyone got paid.
Perfect sense to me, I don't know.
But and that makes sense to me. I'm not a numbers guy, but it makes, I know through that position, revenue streams are important in government. But I think the revenue streams were there. I just think it has been applied inaccurately in whatever software system the auditor uses. So I think that's the explanation I can give you. And it's part of my plea today is to beg the council to jettison this grant and be done with it and put my victim advocate on full, just pay her and the hell with the grant. It is not worth, she spends approximately 30% of her entire year managing that grant. And I'd rather have her doing victim advocacy.
I fully agree with you.
Well, I've been writing notes over here during school here to Gary. I said, you know, I'm all about rectifying the problem. I'm one of these people, I think we need to find out what the problem was, rectify it. Is this something that, you know, these are just thoughts? Is this something that Reedy can take a look at and go back and find out? Because if the money's here, we need to know that and get it in the right area, right? And, or is it something that ARA could help with this yearly if we decide that we want to continue to do that?
Julie, are we talking about the 83,000 red ink? Okay.
I thought it was more than that.
So, you know, and that's part of that fund list that we went through.
Yes,
of
sure
the
is.
$250,000 that we didn't show up, basically. Yeah, and what you're saying, Ted, is just shut that stupid grant down, not jack with it anymore.
Yeah, I suspended the 9,400 position and no large, I mean, owing a large part because these grants are off. Another thing, another consideration, the grant funding declined and continued to decline. So as we're submitting budgets for grants that we haven't received yet, we're getting less and less of awards towards those grants. So what we're paying for the employee and what the grant is paying is declining. So that range is widening and continues to widen. It got so bad with the investigator grant, that's another reason I suspended the position. We've absorbed the position. I think that was the right call. I went up 2 days ago, you know, we talk about cop cars. I've got an old cop car. And I took that one up and I served a subpoena myself. That is something that my investigator would do. I just did it on my own time. It's worth me not having that headache of having the grant and an extra employee when I think we can absorb it and do those duties ourselves. But I cannot do that with a victim advocate. I can't do it. We need a victim advocate. And so part of this is my knowledge of the history of those grants and my knowledge of knowing what happened or what didn't happen, and a plea to the council to consider letting me jettison that grant and be done with it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I don't even know from your numbers position if that impacts it, because she's gonna cost this much. It's just we're not gonna get this much to pay her, which is approximately her award. She gets about 36 every year. Well,
that's not guaranteed.
Right, it's not guaranteed, that's down, she used to get in the 45 area, but the last award she got is approximately 36 grand a year.
So what you're saying to recap is we spend an enormous amount just in labor costs to manage this grant. Okay, you know, we're on a calendar year, they're on some other fiscal, they got another thing. And so we spend a lot of time and energy and labor costs just trying to manage this grant. Currently, we're right now 83K in the red, approximately. Okay, so I don't know why we just don't, you know, we gotta have Susan get an ordinance, because this isn't the only fund that we're writing red ink in that we gotta clean up. So let's clean this up and let's shut it down for a year and let's be done with it and move forward. You know, I'm not in favor of throwing good money after bad, you know, trying to go in and do some kind of historical research on it. It is what it is, we all have to pay it. Let's be done with it.
Judy, I have no idea what more I could do. I have no idea. It bothers me.
I know it.
It pisses me off. I have no idea why it is that way.
Yeah, it sounds like a very complicated.
I don't want to pay Reedy $25,000
history.
to do an historical audit on something that, I mean, it's just, it is what it is.
I'll be honest, I considered requesting a
Yeah, I know.
because I just don't know what more I could have done to.
It's in the past, let's move forward. Put it in black and be done with it.
I mean, it's before your tenure and continued through, I mean, obviously with complications.
Well,
At the very least.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess in 26, when I submit my budget, I don't know what I need to do to inform you. If I've got a blessing from the commissioners or from the council, I'm going to not reapply for that grant. I think it's all, matter of fact, it's trending downward. It's been trending downward for years, meaning we're getting less and less from that grant anyway. Which, because it's an 80-20 match, when Jill applies for it, we have to fudge those numbers more and more because it continues to decline. It's messed up. I don't even know, I would encourage the county to not take any 80-20, 75-25 grants because of the quagmire you get in. But that's the history that I can give you of that. But I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Questions? Audrey, fine.
Thank you for the explanation.
Solid. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
It's the reality of life. Catch up.
I think I've got other funds, so I'll just hang out if you want to.
Yeah. Can you call bathroom break so I can talk to Ted, please? Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna wait till he was done. We can be done in a second here, can't we? We got,
Done already?
6 more pages of here. It's fun.
I manage 6 funds, so I'm.
Okay, 2,400.
There's the cash match that we, back in 2015, agreed that'll be our, you know, and again, I don't know if because the widening difference between what we were getting and what it cost to have the employee, if that's what got us into the red, but we weren't ever asked to match the difference. We were asked to give $5,000, and I'm sure there's a record of that in 2015.
Good. Questions on that?
And that stipend up there, the $6 grand is for, that's another position I eliminated. We absorbed the traffic deferral coordinator into the office manager position. They knocked out another position.
Currently, it's in the two funds are in the red, $139,088 for 70%. But that's, we haven't been,
In the aggregate,
we haven't been paid much this year for the 8312 yet.
And what's our debt? We need to clean it up before the end of the year.
We expect it to be paid.
Let me go back to that.
8312, I have the award whether here or letter, I apologize.
Is that a reimbursable? We send in bills and they pay us.
No, they,
So, wait a minute.
every quarter they send a chunk.
Yeah.
And then so it'd be 8 quarters, it's an eighth of this number. And they send in the check every quarter.
2 quarters ago.
Yeah, we're 2 quarters behind them, so we should still be getting some of that money back.
But we haven't been playing red because we.
And we gotta.
Yeah, but even if they gave us all of that, we're in the red still.
Yes, we are.
On both 8312 and 9400. The only good news is 9400 is static. Again, that's the position we suspended.
Okay, any other questions? We're done with Ted. Julie, you want to talk to him afterwards? Take a bathroom break?
I need to talk to him. Yes.
All right, we'll take a break. We got hopefully 2 big ones out of the way this morning so far.
That's why that's on.
Could I ask, we need to be on record with this?
You just haven't done this. I didn't get that.
Yeah.
10 years later, 10 meetings.
Sure.
You doing all right?
Good, okay. And thanks for asking.
Yes.
We are a shit show. It is, really.
Wow. If we think about it, we could find a way to make this job really hard.
I know. It really, it does seem like, I mean, I'm not an accountant. You have so much money, you spend so much money, that's pretty much it. Didn't know you did the business, you had a cheat job, and that it. And obviously, you were successful, pretty simple. But just like, we'd be a subject to death. I mean, we spent, on the sheriff, we beat that to death. To death. And just like the whole thing with, I agree with what she said. Just take that money from that 3% and use it, because we can do that. So I don't care if I hurt the feelings of the convention people or whatever they are. I don't care. You just do it.
Sometimes if you really want to have fun, look at the sheriff's budget
Yes.
versus the city police.
Oh.
We actually have a city police and they're separate.
Oh, I know, they're town officers, yeah.
It's interesting.
Their academy should not cost as much, because when I went to the academy, everybody, town marshals or police of any kind went to the same academy, same time. Now it's all different. That's how old I am. Of course, I'm 78.
For years, the city police, but I don't know how it is right now.
Yeah.
But the local, they didn't have an officer at night. The sheriff's deputies had to cover.
My understanding is that's still that way on the weekends, so.
Is it?
Yes, that's my understanding.
And they don't reimburse them for that.
Right.
Our deputies just don't get reimbursed for shit.
Right, yes, they're used to, we use them, abuse them, and lose them.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I agree 100%.
Just doesn't
And
make
it's just
sense.
like the police cars. In Marion County, of course, where not everybody's the same, 115,000 miles, they got rid of the car. That's normally what they did with them, as a whole. There's always exceptions. Of course, now he's riding synthetics every 5,000 miles, boom. And you got rid of them because the Marion County, we had our own garage. The only maintenance they did basically was oil changes and tires. And you never plugged a tire, ever plugged a tire. That's dangerous.
take them.
This is
Yeah.
appreciated. I'm hungry.
I agree.
I did appreciate your input on that, and you spoke on that. That makes sense.
Jalapenos.
Yeah, jalapeno. That'll keep you awake.
I know. Joel's feeling spicy?
I love jalapenos.
Do you?
Yeah,
Take some.
I eat them like pickles.
Oh, man.
You grow them on your property?
No, I steal them.
Steal.
My wife provides them for me. I don't know where she gets them from. Grocery store, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But I don't want to assume anything. The older I get, the more I learn that.
It's that easy. It's that easy.
These are a couple long ones. The rest of them may be this long or.
No,
No, I showed them.
no, that shouldn't be at all.
The sheriff's department thing is, we've got to find a way to solve that. Financially and stuff, and I don't know how you do it yet.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I agree. We're on the same page here.
Does that thing I showed you have any merit in terms of the keeper's tax? Can't put it in any other fund, what does that mean if we put it into,
Move it
traffic
to
control?
general.
Pardon?
We just can't move it to general fund. You can budget out of it.
They can have a line in theirs for traffic control? That's the trick.
Change your other mind.
There you go.
Uh-oh.
I have a condition called trigger finger,
Uh-oh.
and I'd never heard of such a thing, but
It's real.
yeah,
Only thing they ever did.
gotta get it fixed.
Yeah, so now your hand's numb.
And we have found the car.
Just this one finger.
Mm-hmm. Pulling that back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how they fix it, but I gotta have it fixed. At first it was just an annoyance, but now it's,
I think it's something about the nerve
Sometimes.
yeah.
that you're controlling that with. And they have to, like, it's short. Does it short? I don't know. I'm not medical. I won't say that. But I feel like they have to clip it or something.
Could be,
I don't know.
Yeah. But, of course, then eventually.
I had to have
They did put limits on.
this whole thing opened up one time.
They should.
I'd wake up in the middle of the night and felt like my arm was on fire.
Oh, wow.
They checked me out, it wasn't, it was,
Really?
I went to a,
Jail also, municipal officer.
yeah. She was good. I was awake while they did it.
Oh, really?
They had a screen by see, but,
Yeah.
and I've got all my feelings, but I haven't had that issue anymore. But I think that's the same doctor I'm gonna have to go to, because it's right there in that same area.
Yeah.
Hey, these are pretty spicy.
Yeah. Yeah, you would want a hand specialist on that.
Wouldn't want to rub your eyes after you eat it.
Think what I call what if. You just do it. You just leave them like that. That's kind of frustrating. Most of what they should be based on facts and figures.
Could have been left over from the meeting yesterday, I don't know. Somebody want to poison us? They're not out for bench anymore, they should be on their way in, the smokers.
What else we got on the agenda this morning?
I'm still trying to figure this out. The more that I see, the more I'm.
Prosecutor,
No wonder our taxes are.
public defender, recorder, soil and water, surveyor, treasurer, veterans affairs, nothing there. Let's get through those in a half hour.
Florida is a.
Let's have a,
You know, I was asking, about $50 million, a nice condo in Miami, power boat. That's a lot. That's easy.
did he come in here today? Good.
Who brought all the chips?
I thought Gary did.
Somebody who wants to.
Come on, Michael. Could be in trouble.
Yeah, you see these marks in there? Yeah. I tell you what, I think, you know, I lost almost 30 pounds.
You lost 30? Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Oh, no, so I don't know if I can think.
Not to say you do.
So, yeah, and then so I weigh myself every morning, right? I'm real disciplined with my diet. And what I'm wondering is, like last night, I went to sitting down in Boarding, right? I had this big meal that I didn't want to eat. And I checked this morning, and it's amazing how much you eat, and then what happens, the variance in your weight, and that changes quite a bit.
Well, yeah, a lot of it's liquid though.
You can put,
And when you go to the bathroom, you're leaving.
All I know is,
And nursing, that's what you do.
I weighed in this morning at 236, and I'm like, yeah. And I get to get 230, and then from there, and then if I can get down to,
And how fast do you say your car goes?
it shuts down at 130.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, top end on that car, which you can, yeah, that's 155.
And that's your Mercedes?
Yeah, this has got that, it's a 392, what is it?
I thought they were supposed to go on the Autobahn.
Yeah, but not in the US, they run it. Yeah,
Oh.
they put a governor on it. Yeah, they put a governor on it. Yeah, because it's a, you can, you know, you can go from 80 to 130 real quick, right? And it's crazy, because you get there and then the car's better now. It's the same thing before.
I had the same thing when we had the
How do
asphalt.
we get a hate for that?
95. and
I understood.
Got extra. And then it just, like, it's just, this is stupid. This is stupid. No.
You do, but you just don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
What's good?
Well, I just messed up here, I'm gonna have to get back to you.
You need to coach me if you think I gotta get it, because I'm not aware of any guilt.
Okay, public defender.
My attention span's not that. It's really not.
Cody's public defender as well as, she's on prosecutor.
Actually, I just got an email about
Well,
something I don't
so
use.
Cody's no longer on his position. Cody's no longer on this, but the position is still there, I presume. Public defender.
Yeah. Position's still there, we just didn't change the name.
Okay.
Actually, we just got to put public defenders there and not have any names,
I do have one question, just clarification. I mean, so, you know, do these public defenders know about
No.
Maybe we can get a sharper contrast on that. I'm having trouble seeing.
Not saying a word.
So, so if you have a county public defender office, not all, lots of counties are on the, kind of, a state system, where you have a caseload, so you're required to have a certain amount of public defenders based on the caseload study. And then if you fall within that and some other guidelines, the state reimburses you a portion of your costs for the public defender's office. So, but the contrasting office would be the prosecutor's office. So think of them the same way. They don't charge, I think only the contract public defender. So lots of times if you have a county office, the contract public defender would be for things like maybe appeals or maybe conflict cases. If you have 3 or 4 defendants all arrested out of the same incident, the office cannot represent all of them because they may be in conflict with each other. And so that's lots of times what your contract public defender line gets used for.
Outsider.
Right, then you would contract with somebody and they have a rate that they pay that attorney.
I just got a letter from Rick Kelly, who does our public defenders, and he's telling me that the rates have changed. And that it's like an increase from 100 to 110 per hour.
For their contract people.
Effective for new matters, March 25th.
So that's not represented here? You don't know that?
Here, it says, here's the information or increase of hourly rate for the PDs.
As of July 1 or?
Appeals attorneys.
Right, your appeals attorneys.
But they're not asking for that, but a lot for that is going less distance because they're,
So this,
because the rates are pending out of this.
Having the right to remain silent. Okay, having the right to an attorney, if I can't afford one to be appointed, this is where this falls under.
Usually, if they ask for a public defender, the court usually requires them to provide an affidavit stating what kind of income they have, right, things of that nature.
So they would give you one that.
okay, any questions? That's it.
Yeah, that was quick.
Recorder, this should be controversial, I'm sure. She's like salary, she's got very little expenses.
Right, because most of her stuff comes out of her graduation fund. She has to spend.
The budget cut because she doesn't have the only thing she's got is the salary.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions?
No.
We've lost it.
I mean, she said she built in her 3%, but again, I briefly talked to her as her, and you guys have too, about, it's a whole list thing.
Someone is leaving. So,
Did somebody, were you gonna talk to them again down at,
Solar
Solar,
Water.
I'm sorry.
About this?
Yeah, this is Solar, they were mine, I just learned that she was leaving. I'm assuming they're gonna bring somebody else in. I talked to Teresa earlier in the year. Sonia brought to my attention that there was a bit of salary pay grade issue there that was an oversight.
according to her, she's a pay grade 15, which she is, because I went back
Yeah,
and checked all that.
yeah.
But she had the wrong numbers for pay grade 15.
Right, yeah,
So I had to correct
so it's been corrected, yeah, thank you. Because I had told her that she needed to work with the auditor and.
Questions? We good?
And now she's quit, so. Or
Yeah.
she's leaving.
Yeah, she's leaving, I kind of got that impression.
Surveyor, he sent us a letter a while back, about a month ago, saying the GIST man is highly underpaid based on other counties.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, well.
Again, that's all under the list thing.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in Wiz. Okay?
It's still a wagon.
Yeah.
Wagon. Yeah, wagon.
It's basically all he's got is salaries, seemingly. Treasurer.
Okay, I'm not gonna bring this up just to be a jerk. Sure.
Go ahead.
You don't have to bring it up to be a jerk, Chad.
Oh, it is.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Let's just say you had to write me and sign it. It's just a question.
Right.
But, I brought this up last week or that deputy, I believe was a part-time position.
And
just took 400 tourist homes off of their responsibility on the innkeeper's tax, because that's going to the Indiana Department of Revenue now.
Plus the hotels.
Plus the hotels. So that, I would assume on a 30-day schedule, that was quite a bit of a work for them. A lot
All
of
those envelopes open.
envelopes, just a whole bit, having to process all the innkeeper's tax every 30 days, right?
Mhm.
So that goes away. Well, if that's going away, then
I mean, it's not like she does.
I don't know, keep in mind, I'm no expert on the freaking treasurer's office, I just question whether or not that 11-402 needs to still be there. That's it.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I think that every small office needs at least a 2.5 times. I'm not saying we're gonna cut her full-time here. I'm not saying that, but I think every small office needs a 2-person that elected the deputy and at least a half-time. Because the deputy needs to be going to those trainings because they do take over the place of the elected if they go, if they become very, very ill or they die or whatever, they, at least for a period of time, until someone is walking in their place, they are that person. So they need to know absolutely everything that goes on, all the rules, regulations, everything. So you do have to have somebody in there running that office when they are in trainings and those kinds of things. With that said, you, as a whole council, on what you want to do as far as full-time to half or 3/4 or leave it as it is. But I don't think that you want to cut it down to just, also you've got people working very closely in those offices, and we've had this happen before. You get influenza come in.
She's a part-time, full-time anyway, so we were paying insurance on her anyway.
But you get influenza come in. We've had, both the treasurer and the deputy go down, and then you've got no one, and possibly even the deputy, because they do work in here, go down and use close and all. So I do think that you need at least a half person in there.
Is the treasurer still physically running to the bank?
And then making deposits. I don't know. I don't know, because that's not my department to ask what they do daily, but if they take in money, they've got to go to the bank.
But like you're saying, if the treasurer's at a conference, the first deputy's taking over and then running the errands or whatever the treasurer does, so they need to have somebody who can come into the office on part-time.
Right, because I think if you make over $500 a day, I think that used to be the law. You have to make a daily deposit. It doesn't matter if you make it at 2 or 3:30. It used to be if you took in $1 a day, but
A couple of years ago, we discussed the value of having a floater in the system. That person fills in when somebody sees small offices are short.
well, I don't know that would
I worked in one office, but they're.
I don't know if that would work either, because what happens
It's
is,
a political office.
you have,
I had two of them fighting for it.
yeah,
I'm just saying it's not perfect.
Well, and I don't know that you could do that in like the assessor's office, because they have to have that P of L stuff,
Well, you could just tell them, just to fill in for whatever.
answering the phone for a day or something.
Yes.
I don't know, that's something I think you would have to have a discussion with the elected officials and department people about.
The problem with that is all the offices being elected officials, then you've got resentment and headbutting and
training in every office.
training. But I mean, the biggest thing being, you got somebody from one office that comes in another office and there's resentment and then there's.
And they might be,
And we talked about that, we wouldn't mind having part-time help in the treasurer's office, just to answer the phone and do this and that. They don't really need to be trained, they can learn it through it. But if you got somebody we could split, full-time, make it into a part-time thing and provide that kind of help, that'd be good.
So who oversees this influence? Is it TAC or council?
well, I think it's good, again, if it's just an answer the phone kind of thing, that's one thing, but you've got to have someone who needs to know how to bring up all the parcels and all the things that need to be brought in. And if you, in the recorder's office, you've got to know how to run the system, and it can be quite difficult. system and all that, and it's not something you learn in a day, having to be a reporter. You give yourself a good 3 to 6 months on learning all those things unless you're AJ, just saying.
Fully agree with that.
Yeah, so it's not a matter of just answering the phone, and there's legalities in these offices that you do have to consider, Tim, and codes and knowing the proper things and ways to do things.
They just don't do that. They say come back tomorrow with their presence.
But then if you've had somebody that's come from Indianapolis that's taken a half days off work and you tell them to come back tomorrow, is that fair to the citizenry that we serve?
Life isn't fair.
Yeah, no, life is not fair, but we are public servants, just saying. So that's my 2 cents worth. There's 6 other people.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with that, that's all great, but the real issue is you have 3 full-time people in there. And based off of Brown County Policy Handbook, everybody gets 65 days off a year. And so when you got all this paid time off, gee golly, what is there, nobody left in the office? So, that's really the issue.
Okay, I'm getting a text here.
2 of them just went to conference and 1 of them is in the.
Andy Bond wants to know if she needs to come up.
You gonna bring it back?
Does Andy Bond wants to know if she needs to come? Do you want to have her come up? We've had others. I think it'd be on.
No, I think we just table this conversation, and then when we get into the Wagner issues, then we're gonna have to look at it, so.
Sound fair to everyone? The PAC, by the way, is Personnel Advisory Committee, so you know. So anyways, so we're gonna let it take its course through Wagner and Shealy, okay? Can tell her that she's probably here.
She is.
Thank you for the offer, Andy, but we're working at it. Tax statements. Anybody know what those are? Why are they so much?
That's the printing and mailing of tax statements.
Okay.
Printing costs,
Postage, all that stuff. Okay. Okay.
that's a lot of work too.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, but you can't answer them, so I'm not gonna answer.
That's good. Thank you. We're down to the last one. Veterans Affairs. So,
Again, that's a salary. I guess we'll let Wes take a look at those salaries.
flags. Uh-oh, Mary came up. Too late, Mary.
I'm sorry, I have to come up. Now, I know when I had the position, it was a part-time position and we were fine. Andy chose to change it. That's not my bad. That job does a whole heck of a lot more than just innkeeper's tax. There's absolutely no way that office can run with just 2 people.
How much did Andy pay you?
None. She's sitting there like,
I know.
okay,
I know.
So, I mean,
you have it from authority. You were there.
I've spent my whole entire career basically down there, and I know, I've seen.
We'll just take it out of the recorder's office. That's
We know this working.
I mean, I get if you wanted to cut it.
No,
down
no,
to the
sure, make your
part-time.
case. Feel free
That was
to.
the question. Was everything functionally good with a part-time position?
We functioned well because we were a
You had 2.5,
seasoned
right?
team. Like,
You
I
had
had
two
been
and a half?
there forever, huh?
Back then you had 2.5 people? Or 2?
Like she said, they were.
For a seasoned team.
We were a
They had
seasoned
all been
team.
there for-
So I understand why Andy wanted it to be full-time again.
Yeah.
Because she has gone through person after person after person, trying to get, a team that she can work with. But people leave for more money or kids or whatever, and she's just struggled. So I totally understand why she wanted it to be full-time again. Because Andy, Billy, and I had been together for years and years, and here she comes. Here she comes.
There you go.
So I'm just saying,
You give me whether you want me or
So,
not.
don't you guys have something better to do than listen to the radio?
Thank you for coming.
I mean, the office is important. We hold all your money. We hold all the county's money. And it sometimes is poo-pooed away, like it's not as important as it really is.
See the teamwork, they even dress the same.
We did. we did make a really good team, and we thought opposite like ways. Like she could some things I couldn't, and so it's important to take her.
I didn't case her.
She did it. No, I just can't. It's my age. I just can't keep
I
quiet.
just asked a question, see what would happen. Mary's becoming very demonstrative.
You knew.
She used to be such a nice girl.
It was a nice girl.
Well, and I think you probably heard that there are codes and rules and regulations and things that you have to learn in software that I don't think that necessarily a floater would work. And I know in the recorder's office, probably not in your office, and I definitely know not in P development. I mean, in assessors, because of all those P development things that you have to do. So I definitely understand that, but go ahead.
She said it. Hey, let's go on to the next. Don't worry about it, okay?
Yeah. Are you even on my budget?
No, we're off.
Not right now.
Oh, already went down.
We're gonna let Wes take a look at it. I texted you and.
Yeah, we gotta do a lot of work with WIS when it shows.
I just asked the question because I could, okay? That's all. All right?
When you ask, I'm gonna come up.
It wasn't because he was being a jerk this time.
She was gonna be good as me.
I was sitting there, I was just gonna take
Well,
it.
I'm gonna bring it up, maybe
And
they
also
don't want to hear.
remember, I was on your side when we bumped it from part-time to full-time.
Oh.
Thank you very much.
You said you were,
I'm
yes.
gonna bring it up even though they don't want to,
So
we went past it, so you can tell me to shut up, but they are curious about the innkeeper's tax going away, how much is that gonna take away from your department? If anything, workload.
Yeah, just
I mean, they ask it, so why not
So-
tell or not
Isn't
tell?
there like 400 tourist homes in the county?
I think it's close.
It's over 400.
I could never get an accurate count.
Yeah, it's close to 400.
Well,
It's like
because
380
in our
or so.
list, we have everything that's inactive, which may be, it's still a tourist home, but it's a temporary non-use. So it's not being rented. So I didn't look to see,
Yeah, that's
you know,
okay,
so
that's okay.
there's more than 300.
Yeah, okay.
It's
And then you
probably
get
closer
hotels,
to
you can
5,
see
but-
all seasons, all that stuff.
It does not take up
Okay.
20% of that
Good.
position.
Now you don't have to
So-
do that at all, so who cares?
Right, I mean,
Still has to worry about it. The
Oh,
money
hey,
still
while
has
you're
to go
here,
through the
while
office.
you're here, we had a conversation, I don't know what it was, just a couple of meetings ago, or maybe it was this week. Andy, should we be paying attention to our, because I think we've got 5 banks that you work with, correct? Total 5.
I have multiple accounts at.
At each bank?
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about 5 financial institutions. We have 5 financial institutions, and inside each
Yeah.
institution, you have multiple accounts.
Yes.
What we were talking about is the annual interest we receive on the average daily balances between all these accounts. And what I don't know, and I wonder, should we be paying attention to is, now keep in mind, I'm talking county government, not the school corporation, so just county government. But what our average daily collected balance is kind of every 30 days. Do we got 25 million, 26 million, what do we got laying in cash in these banks? And should we be paying attention to that? Because if, let's say over a year's period, if we average 25 million, and then on average, let's say we're collecting 4% interest or 3%, right? Keep in mind that interest payment is going to go down because it's projected the Fed is probably going to decrease interest rates here in the next, not too distant future. So as the Fed funds rate comes down, the interest payments in the bank, that's going to come down. So that we can kind of do a better job forecasting what that revenue is going to be, because that revenue goes into the general fund, correct? Okay.
Except for one line.
Yeah, so to me, I don't ever talk to you, pay attention to that in there. And from your perspective, if you were a council member, is that something that we should, maybe at least quarterly?
So every year I have a Board of Finance meeting with the commissioners, and all of that is made readily available to anyone. It's public record. You can see what we brought in from the previous year on interest. There's reports that could be ran. You can check the fund. I don't know, do you guys have access to LAO?
Well, I believe that Susan told us that we're supposed to get monthly reports.
Yeah, we'd like to.
Those, no, those are Form 61s,
Okay,
and I do those every month.
okay, but provide it to council. Could you provide it to council? But could you?
You can run it.
Oh, wow.
You can run it in Lao.
Yeah, but I don't have access to that.
You can actually get on Gateway and see it, because we put it up in Gateway.
I know, but why don't you print it out and give it to us, before the council meetings?
Yeah. I
We're
could-
still-
Well, there was, so, when I was treasurer, the process was
has
changed.
Because
We had to send it to the auditor, it had to go to the commissioners, it may have had to go to council, legislation changed, and she no longer has to do all that. It has to be
It's
updated,
uploaded to Gateway.
uploaded to Gateway, and.
I would love to see a printed off one, no matter who I get it from, I would love to see one
It
printed
is
off.
not what it once was.
Okay.
So the report that you are looking for, because that is the report from, I don't remember when it changed. Well, I think
Long
it
time
was,
ago.
yeah. It changed under my, when I started as treasurer, I think, so 21 maybe, is when the form changed. Because I think what you guys are looking for looks completely different than what we do now. Our state board of accounts doesn't have a set form, correct?
That's what it used to be.
For the Form
Now it's
61 that you
white
have to
sheet like
use.
this.
Which I don't,
I mean, that seems to be one of those things that maybe they changed and it shouldn't have been changed because,
but I am,
you know.
not been wrote up for it.
No, we're not saying
It's
that.
one
We're not
of
saying
those
that.
things
Yeah.
I am-
I think I-
But what you're asking for isn't what you once had.
Okay.
So, but it's a report in Lao. I can show you all how to do it. It's,
Julie can do it and print it out for us.
Yeah.
yeah. Let me clarify a little bit too. One of the main jobs in statute for the treasurer is to be the financial holder to make the most interest as you can. That is the treasurer's solely responsibility. No one can. You can look at it and you can say, well, you need to do this, but I don't have to listen to you. Yeah. Because it's my job. Not that she's going to do that. I'm just saying,
That's the Board of Finance.
Yeah, that's the board. I don't report to council.
Right,
Board of Finance reports to
Right.
commissioners.
right.
Who's the board of finance? Who's
The
that?
commissioners and the treasurer. Which is interesting because council is, the
Right.
financial,
Right.
but that is what it is.
That's state statute.
And we learned at our council meeting too, that, which is a good thing, that they've opened up in smaller counties to some different financial institutions. We used to, I know, small counties had, we were very restricted, and now they've allowed
So
certain other banks and credit unions
yes,
to be
we
included,
just
which is a good
had
thing.
our conference in August and I talked to a few banks there. So I am meeting with some others. Trust Indiana is great.
That's what they said, yeah.
They're doing better now than what they were.
That's what they said, yeah.
So I have not moved more money into Trust Indiana yet. I'll get there. I still have to train my staff. So I have other things that I have to do in front of me to get them trained to take the money in.
But per
Period.
state statute, you as a treasurer, you have to basically, the money has to stay in cash, which is CDs, money market accounts, things that have no volatility, right?
Yes, there are
So you
limitations
can't
to
go out and buy
where,
Bitcoin.
no,
You can't go out.
no, I
Safety,
cannot.
liquidity yield.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so
there
you're
are
restricted
certain-
basically to
yes.
cash, and that's it.
Yes.
So they can't use my Fendito in Chicago?
Sorry. Probably not
20%,
legally.
20%.
And I just want to throw this out because in my second term, when interest rates were terrible,
Right.
I mean, $30,000 was a good,
Yeah, you did a poor
Where's the
job.
money
there.
going now? Because I know she's bringing in a lot, so where's that interest?
Well, see,
being
and that's
spent?
what led me to the conversation, because Reedy, I think Reedy has got projected for 2026 in the general fund, 600K worth of interest. Okay. And what I know is that, how this whole thing works, is those interest rates will come down over the
I
next
will
30
say
years.
this too, with innkeepers being collected through the state now, I'm not going to have that money in my accounts as quickly to be able to earn interest off of
Okay,
it.
now hang on a minute, I got it in writing from the
head attorney at the Indiana Department of Revenue that they will ACH to you
Monthly, that's
monthly. every month.
monthly, that's what I'm saying,
Right,
yeah,
but you're
yes.
only losing that first 30 days, and from there, it will come in regular, so.
But I'm
So we're not talking
still
about-
losing.
Yeah, but you're not talking about a lot of money, so you're talking about pennies, I mean, they're just, it's nickel dimes. So, well, I can do the math and show you the math, so it is, but the issue is not gonna, so the reason I brought it up is we all need to, probably, what I'm trying to advocate for is we're gonna get revenue off of whatever the average balance is on a yearly basis, right? We can calculate what the interest is gonna be, so we've kind of got an idea of how much interest income's coming in. And keep in mind, I'm trying to solve for trying to build the rainy day fund, okay, over the next 4 to 5 years, so we don't have to go out and borrow $4 million to be able to pay for our capital improvements. So one approach, which is simply an approach, is you forecast what that interest income is going to be, and then you pull out that out of the general fund and you stick it into rainy day in our budget. Okay, so we build the rainy day, so we're not dependent upon short-term debt financing. We're not taking into consideration from taxpayers that we got to pay 80 to 100 grand to do the $4 million note, number one, and then we got to pay 4% interest on top of that. Okay, and we are all paying an additional tax to cover this debt, and because it's short-term debt, think of it as just putting it on your credit card. And the reason we have to do that is we don't have any money. We don't have any cash built up, and so we've got to build up that rainy day fund and get the thing back to where, $4 to $5 million. So the issue is, how are we going to get it back there? One approach would be to use this interest income off of this money.
Okay, so
So,
I did look into putting that into the interest into rainy day instead of general fund, and if I known we were gonna have this conversation, I would have,
do you have
referred
authority
back.
to do that?
No, I'd have to change it through my Board of Finance meeting,
Yeah.
and I can't remember right off the top of my head, and I don't wanna speak out of turn and say something that isn't correct.
Right.
But I do have it somewhere in my email, because I
And I don't
did
think that's
this
a big
over
issue.
a
It's
year
really
ago.
more of the
There was a
council
reason why.
having a strategic plan for the next 3 or 4 years of how do we build up that rainy day fund, right? So that we don't have to be dependent on short-term debt financing.
I want to say it had something to do, like if you put the interest into rainy day, you can only use rainy day for certain things, so it's not as easily available
Bingo.
to use.
Right.
So, and so much of it, your general fund isn't sitting with
Right.
tons of extra money, so you may need it, and then it's in rainy day, you can't use it for whatever you need it for, kind of thing. I think that's the gist of
Right now, we
it,
need
but,
every dime we can have because we're a million upside down, so.
yeah.
Just on the general fund.
And we come up here because we care. You're not gonna find anybody else in this county that cares more about that office than the two.
Well, no, please don't.
No, but
Well,
I'm
but
just
the
saying.
offhand remarks of, like,
Well, I
really,
just-
you know, if you wanna poke a bear, just keep going. Not good.
And you gotta keep in mind,
And I didn't bring my baseball bat.
and keep in mind, I, as a 31-month council member, I have no idea what you do in your office.
And you're
You want
welcome to come learn
Doing
anytime.
well, yeah,
I've said that to you.
I know, but that's true for all 30 departments. I don't know what you guys do, you know, how am I-
And that's frustrating as an elected official, department head. You get to choose what happens in our budget, and you have no clue what happens in our office.
How do we correct that?
Well, we
Use
tried
video
to. Do you remember, what was it? I don't remember, 21, 22? Our meetings that we tried having, like, over policy, what we
And
want
then
to do.
we quit.
It was with you.
Well, that would have been a 23.
We had our
Was
circle
it-
meeting.
Do we need to, are you interested in going back to that, to where we do that?
I don't have a problem doing it if something good comes from it. And I feel like we were all just there voicing our opinions and then but there was nothing, there was no follow through.
Keep in mind, I was brand new.
I know you were very eager.
I was very green.
Part of the problem is we have to get our act together and set the
Yeah, well, the
culture from the
council's
top
gotta
on
get
down,
together.
policies and procedures that you can then tap into and work off of. We didn't have that then.
And we still don't. So it's to me, my takeaway right now, the biggest challenge for us as a county
we really lack policy,
And
operational policies.
there may be
Well,
policies,
right,
but we don't follow through
reporting
with
and how do we
policies.
do this, how do we manage this thing, right? We don't have that.
I know people get tired of hearing this, but this is why I think, and it's not just financial, I think it would be great to have these reports, whether it's quarterly, you can write them down, you can come in, whatever. Let us know kind of what your department does, not on a daily basis, but these are the highlights of our department. This is what we do. These are how many transactions we've done a month. Whatever those transactions are. Again, it's not about us going, I only did 10 of these, so, that's not the way I look at it. I look at it, yeah, and I don't look at it that way. This is what to me, it's showing your work. These are the things that these people do on a daily basis that we don't know about. The public needs to know about because public meetings. I would love to see reports from every office. And again, you don't have to do it. I have to do it monthly, but if you could come to us quarterly and say, in this 3-month period, this is what we did. And it can be written out or you can come and present it. I think it's awesome. And as I had told Mary, I did that. And she actually has them. And I was told by county council, I'm not gonna read these, just don't do it anymore. And that was just kind of when I was reporting, and it kind of shot me down because it was like, I'm not doing this just for council, I'm doing this for the public. So let them know that this is what we do. When it was reported to me that you only do 1,500 deeds, bullhigh.
Oh, yeah,
There's more than 1,500 deeds that are done in there. It's not just deeds, it's transfers, it's all kinds of things that are done in the recorder's office. We want to know, and that's how you educate us on what you're doing. And for offices that do annual reports, we need to read those annual reports.
But I also feel like we are looked at. You should be getting a somewhat of a, for lack of better words, review when State Board of Accounts comes in and does an audit.
But
you
it doesn't
can see what my work is. You can see if I was, had a verbal warning on this or that, or.
And I do look at those, but still, your day-to-day stuff, I think it's awesome to hear from you.
What you could do, we have these work sessions every month, is if we're not tied up in the budget, you can probably come in and say, we'd like to take 15, 20 minutes to explain what's going on.
And again, not every
This
month.
process has been very educational here in the last couple of days, so that would be just a further education. And we may even incorporate it as we get into our more structure, where we have people coming in maybe 2 every month or so, and just see what's going on.
Yeah, I think that would probably be more.
Well, like it or not, I'm your rep, so if you need anything. I know you guys don't want to talk to me, but
No, I'm fine to talk.
Well,
Thank you.
really nice guy.
Appreciate it.
That's what you say. I'm just kidding. Our door is always open.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you gotta advertise that, it's not.
That's a good point.
All right, so we're on the veterans budget. Any questions, Rebecca? No, let's see, okay, it's flags, nothing major there. He's doing a great job, we know that. Vehicles.
$50 for furniture and fixtures. What's he gonna buy?
He said that to me, he's on.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear from his office more. I mean, we
He sends me
have,
reports and I send them to you guys.
you do, but again, but when we read them, the public's not reading them. Or hearing from them.
The public has some responsibility.
They do, but, we kind of have a responsibility.
I mean, this was open to public today, right?
Right.
Yeah, see the
Right.
interest.
I know. But his reports are good, and I do read them, yes.
Yeah, well, that's it, we're done.
Yeah, man, cool. So we gotta so everybody in favor of next year in a few months, because we're gonna be back here again in a few months, all right?
Don't sound so downtrodden there.
That's what we are. It's just, we do this every year, right?
Yeah.
So we'll never.
That's what we signed up for.
Right, so what we do next year is July 1, when Julie gets everything collected, we get organized, then what we do immediately in July is have these meetings. And then maybe what we do, another way to improve it, is then it may take a couple days, right? It should take a couple days.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, when you take, I mean, it'll take 2 days, but I like this format to where, they came in, we had, I think we spent an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Probably.
That's good, that's healthy. And the other ones, you don't have to spend so much. But extend the offer, and then what we do maybe, and I'm just thinking out loud right now, is we go through, go through and put together, this day we're gonna cover these departments, this day we're gonna cover this, blah, blah, blah. And then allow them to come in.
To be on the actual watch the thing, and if they've got a question about it, the budget that we bring up.
Right, but give them the opportunity, and then we just sit, and we all then collectively go through every 4 ones, just like we did. And then if they want to be here, they're more than happy to give us their editorial comment. All right, I'm just floating that idea for next year.
I like it, and I'm glad, because had you not brought it up the other day, I was gonna bring up, we needed to do this. So.
And we do. Yeah, but I like this much better than the dog and pony show that we did last year and the way we've done it historically.
Yeah, because there are offices that don't necessarily.
Yeah, need to be.
And if we do have a question, we need to call them.
Yeah, you can call them.
This is much more educational, in depth.
To me, yeah, absolutely.
So that's good.
I'm just glad you're looking at the budgets this year.
Yeah, because we did last year.
Or the year before.
It's squat. No, Julie and Jackie Dennis did the budget, basically, and that was it.
Yeah.
We had the one-day dog and pony show with Greg Veritas, 15 minutes. It was nuts. What do you
I did not like that.
15 minutes.
Okay, 2 other things, just had 2 meetings yesterday. One was with the ROI. It was more arts related, but it was down in the art gallery. Lynn Miller set it up. She's involved with that. They talked about the Ready 2 grant briefly, but it was more towards art things. And he was even defining art crafts without using sculpture and painting. I don't know why he was doing that. But it's an educational thing. It was for the regional area. So Marcy from Owen County was there, who's we talked to before. She's like, it sets up the head Chamber of Commerce and EDC over there. Very, very good. She talked with us once. So it's good to see them. Nothing major coming to that. Then I had a lunch meeting with the Community Foundation and the representative from Eli Lilly Grants. And we had a very good rapport with the guy. Just found out some things there. It's like, the tornado we had, FEMA won't give us money because we don't have full-time fire departments. They don't serve by volunteer fire departments. So I think he got an eye-opening, and also saying the fact that we're at the bottom of the totem pole when the state raises the state trooper salaries. He's realizing, I mentioned to him, I says, well, hey, I said, we have raw wounds, low bureaucracy. The money comes to us, it goes to the place where it needs to be. If you have any of these bigger, municipalities out there, we'll take their waste. What they waste would be precious to us. And then John Elliott was there from the foundation. He says, yeah, I was just up there in Noblesville, and I told him, I says, if you got any leftovers, we'll take them. So, I think he's realizing that we have different needs than all those, so it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. You give these people money, and you say, no, it'll go further and be better used here. So he seemed very receptive to that. So I don't have to send you an email, that's all I said this.
Okay, and now what was it? You should have told us, but you didn't.
Nothing, it was wonderful. So.
All right, okay, motion adjourned.
Did we decide on a council budget? I know we went over it, but I can't remember if
I think we're held at the same standards.
we just hold everything the same as it was.
Oh, we talked about that attrition.
Well, let me ask you this, Julie, I'm assuming Julie, you sat here and tracked all the decisions that have been made.
Did we?
So how do we get a report, okay, that clearly shows, all the departments, what's in there,
Next.
what's been nixed?
Oh, I'll send you one.
How do we get a report that goes through, the whole,
I got the notes from
once you get it done? Because you have, Julie, you have the original Form 1s that were submitted, that were inputted in the WOW. We had a meeting where we said, hey, we're gonna bump it $500,000 in the general fund, I don't know, whatever else we changes we made, right? And then we got today, right? So do you go in and you have the before, advertised, after?
Everything that we've changed, I've done already So, in my budgets, I can see the requested, I can see the changes for the, advertised already, and then we'll wait for the adopted.
Okay, but I'm not gonna adopt anything until I know what it is, the final budget.
Well, you won't know until you get this stuff. Because I can change everything going forward into the adopted.
I'm just asking, because we don't, okay, I'm not clear.
I'm getting passionate, just like you do.
Because you got the four, right, you got the four.
Skip discretion from now on.
Before published, and then after, and so what you're saying is
Yeah.
you're gonna key it all in, all these changes that that the council has advocated for. Okay, and then what you're saying, what I hear you saying is that the big one, which is labor cost. Yeah, we really can't do anything until we address this labor cost issue. And once we do that, then you put everything, yeah, but hang on a minute, you put everything, you make all the changes, and now you have the final product is done. And then what I'm asking is do we get a complete report to review that before we adopt it?
I'll send it to you.
But Susan
A lot
has,
easier.
Job.
but I think Susan has some changes that maybe weren't captured.
I don't know. I'm just answering Darren's question on did we look at the council budget, and the answer was yes. You guys did look at that. You took policy services down to 5,000 instead of 45,000, and you took the attrition services to 0.
I knew we looked at it, I couldn't remember whether we made a decision on it.
So, I mean, that's your working copy.
Can you read that again?
You took policy services,
To
5,000.
Because because that's WIS, we're not redoing.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
And you took attrition to 0.
Yeah, but then we had money in there for professional services, didn't
Yes.
we?
It's 132, it's on the
We
board.
left that alone, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right,
Okay, good, so I can get those done
all
now.
right, all right,
I'll do that right now.
all right. Okay, motion adjourned.
We never motioned in, we're out.
Okay, we're done.
Still recording.
Okay. Another wonderful day in the
You know,
neighborhood.
Somebody turned us off.
That's still on.
Paid $6.
What's on?
Karen needs to turn us off.
And everything was called,
Yeah, we need red pen.
We do need to.
everything was a castle, no bonus because of weapons were made up. And you got 16,700 meals a day. Yeah, so where do you want, as long as I can get chicken for, because I'm not gonna be on diet, I can't eat beef.
I'll go to BCI and get some meat.
Yep, I can.
That's just fair enough.
All right, thank you.
Do you want to call in and see if we can do earlier, or what do you want to do? You don't care.
Well, at 2 o'clock is when she said she.
Yeah, there's.
Probably ought to just stick
It's
with that.
awesome.
I guess I'll just go.
Yeah,
These guys.
it really is.
Pardon?
I guess I'll just go to lunch with these guys till I was trying to get redeemed from that.
2005 it opened.
So yours is 406.
Yeah, it's 20.
212.
Yeah.
There's air conditioners where I'll put it.
Yeah, there's, I'm sure. Well, you'll see it's a pretty good sized facility. Actually, 3 floors.
This is where I walk out, and I have a phone call.
I just learned that last night. I mean, I've been on all 3 floors.
We're working on that.
What is not-
Down to 5, so I just changed that. and
I mean, it's all functional. If they don't,
Basement, main floor.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The control room.
Yeah.
No walkout basements.
Nope.
And is it wrong?
All right, I gotta go downstairs. It does have a walkout basement, but, yeah, but not like you think.
Services.
And I'll meet you downstairs in your office.
Okay.
All right.
It'll still,
So is that a
you'll still be able to have the program immediate support.
Yeah.